subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Is abalone. Can make the texture of abalone so soft. 99. The most important thing is that each bun has the fragrance of bamboo. The fragrance is pleasant. The fragrance is really pleasant. Also, the other buns are scallops and crab meat. God, there are so many ingredients. At this time, one by one, the judges ate. This is simply the most advanced enjoyment in terms of taste. My heart is calmed, and my whole body is so peaceful. And know why it's called Seafood Babeo Bao. In this soul-refreshing package, there are 8 top seafood. Abalone, shark fin, sea cucumber, scallop, crab, flower branch, flounder, etc. 8 kinds of ingredients. Lin Fan smiled calmly. Yes, I use the best seafood in the perfect buns to make buns. 99. At the same time, these 8 ingredients are perfectly matched, and the steamed buns made in this way are the ultimate meaning of food. The judges eat one by one. Eat and say that your soul has been redeemed. Even Yukihira SMA, Juga Taruki, and others who were standing on the side were stunned. Yukihira SMA said in disbelief, "This ingredient is the best of the best." 35. However, I saw that Lin Fan made a clever combination in it and achieved the ultimate in cooperation. This is the perfect meal. Lin Fan smiled after hearing this and turned his head to Taruki for a long time. Seeing him with a surprised look on his face, he didn't speak. Lin Fan said with a smile, "Let's try it out." As soon as the words fell, everyone quickly picked up the steamed buns, which was what they had wanted to do for a long time. Especially Gio Izhaji, the steamed bun in my hand, and hurriedly tore it open. Wow. The sea cucumber and soup in the buns overflowed out of control in an instant. At this time, Kawashima Ray on the side was already convinced by this bun. Unprecedented intoxication once again entered the fantasy of self-moving. After a long time, I took a bite of the steamed bun, and he wanted to know what the difference between Lin Fan and Lin Fan was. The same as Chinese cuisine. Why Lin Fan made the ultimate. The moment the bun skin was bitten, the extremely delicious and rich soup spread to the entire mouth in an instant. The sea cucumber tastes so soft and glutinous. Coupled with the bun skin, the softness is already outrageous. I am afraid that in the world, there will never be a more perfect bun skin than this. It seems to be a bun skin with a soul. At this moment, Kuga Taruki suddenly became refreshed. He seemed to fully understand that the difference between him and Lin Fan was not as simple as a Chinese dish. It is a fundamental difference in the abilities of the two people. For a long time, Taruki suddenly felt that Lin Fan was like an unreachable star. Such thoughts lingered in his mind. I don't want to compare myself with Lin Fan anymore. This is what I think in my heart at this moment. I feel so peaceful after eating the buns. At this moment, you just need to enjoy the food in a down-to-earth way and don't want to think about anything else. On the field, 3 judges, as well as participating students, plus a host. The state after eating the buns made the audience's curiosity even heavier. The media even stepped up to edit press releases. Lin Fan's amazing cooking not only convinced the judges, but even the contestants. The judges were reluctant to put down the steamed buns because they had to taste the dishes of several other contestants. However, I saw the 3 judges with expressionless faces tasting one by one like a machine. Then the 3 shook their heads at the same time. After eating the Soul Rescue Pack, I tasted the food of these few people, but it was tasteless. 39 indeed. It feels like I've eaten the top-notch cuisine. I'm going back to eat high-end cuisine. Yes, it's always haute cuisine. In front of the top, it's just mediocre. In any case, Lin Fan Soul Pack, I need to give a 100 points. This is respect for the ultimate meaning of food. Wow, the audience off the field was boiling again. Another perfect score of 100, which is unprecedented. Then, immediately, the 3 judges all gave 100 points. Once again, Lin Fan's Food Circle News made a huge contribution. The media in the entire venue were all blown away. Such a rating is completely unprecedented. Next, the judges began to rate the remaining dishes in turn. Rei Kawashima held the card in hand and said excitedly, "Next, we will announce the score for the second round of the knockout round. Currently, the number one is Lin Fan. Ahem, I won't emphasize it here. Everyone understands. 5. The second place in Tsuki has a dark horse after Lin Fan, Yukihira, SMA. Ranked second in this game with a high score of 97. Third place, Ryo Hayama, with a rating of 96. Fourth place, Shoko Kasagaji, 94 points. Well, next, this name is a little. Long time I follow the rules of the score. 86 points. This gap, Rei Kawashima looked at Teruki Kuga with an incredulous look on her face. My mind has collapsed for a long time, and my face is calm, 80% of which is still immersed in the world of the Soul Pack. Seeing that he had nothing to say, Lin Fan walked over. Facing Jujiaji, he smiled and said, "Actually, this dish of mine is just for you, by the way. After all, with your knowledge of Chinese cuisine, it's not worth my effort to compete. I think this time, 0.0, you should be able to understand how far apart I am from you. Even in Chinese cuisine, your cognition, really, is just a fur." I didn't speak for a long time. After Lin Fan finished speaking, he walked to the stage, sea that belongs to him, and accepted everyone's praise. Kawashima Rei returned to the stage again and said excitedly, "I deeply regret the classmates who were eliminated just now. 55, but the game continues. Luo, then, the next round will be the third round to advance to the top 6. What will be the theme of this show? Will Lin Fan bring us another shocking cooking skill? Let me see. Cute dividing line chapter 133 Giant Dough, what to cook. 2/5 for subscription." When Rei Kawashima took the subject card, she covered her mouth with her hand and was very surprised. Look at Lin Fan and look at the rest of the students. The theme of this game is actually Chinese cuisine. Oh my God, I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the theme card. Chinese food, Kawashima Rei said, looked at Lin Fan, and then said, "This is completely custom-made for Lin Fan." 99, not only Kawashima Rei was shocked. None of the media audience off the field remained calm. The media started talking about it again. The subject matter is Chinese cuisine. Although Lin Fan is good at other cuisines, Chinese cuisine is his specialty, so to speak. 99, if it were to cook other dishes, I would still have expectations. But for Chinese cuisine, forget it. This question is a bit. Isn't this specially made for Lin Fan? It is rumored that this competition will be used as a stepping stone for Lin Fan. Sure enough, after seeing this theme, this statement is more confirmed. Just pity the 08 students who participated in the competition. After all, they really thought this competition was fair. 39. What you said is wrong. Even if the competition is intentional, then Lin Fan will win with his strength. That's true. Think about it. If I were to look at it from Nakiri Senzaman's point of view, it would certainly be the same. 35. So, would the Nakiri family be picking a prospective grandson-in-law? The media are getting more and more outrageous. The Reel suddenly pointed to Nakiri Irina, who was in the competition hall. Being analyzed in this way, everyone is more gossipy, and the more they talk, the more outrageous they are. As if Nakiri Irina had become Lin Fan's fiancée. In the envy of the crowd and a burst of emotion, Lin Fan walked silently to the ingredients area. These remarks did not have much impact on him. He really took this game as a stepping stone and just walked on like this. Yukihira SMA behind Lin Fan is much more confident than Ryo Hayama. Even in the face of the mighty Lin Fan, Yukihira had no intention of backing down. Chinese cuisine, is it? Then come and see my Yukihira flow. Yukihira SMA spoke confidently. However, Hayama Ryo on the side has a meaningful expression. He was still thinking about what Lin Fan had told him before. Some people have the illusion of being autistic, and they act a lot more low-key. Silently walked to the ingredients area to pick up ingredients, tried to avoid Lin Fan's eyes, and deliberately avoided direct contact. On the other hand, Yukihira SMA, when passing by Lin Fan, looked confident. Lin Fan, even if you are strong at the moment, I am not weak. I will do my best, 5 Lin Fan nodded. Back at the cooking table, I still took the flour. Kawashima Rei instantly realized that something was wrong and came over and asked, Student Lin, do you want to make pasta this time? This bag of flour has to be 10 kilograms, and you took so many bags? Don't you want to use them all? Lin Fan didn't speak, just nodded silently. Just focus on what's at hand. There is no suspense, Lin Fan, at this time. As long as there is a move, it will inevitably cause an uproar. Every action is exciting. The cameras were all on him, and the other contestants seemed to be the background. This is Lin Fan's solo show. Flour. More flour was poured on the countertop. Combine the 2 steel rods and start spinning, Kawashima Rei exclaimed. The Bailuo snake turns the chain, and the Bailuo snake turns the chain again. Even though it has been watched many times, it is still shocking. Remind the audience, please be optimistic about the important property around you, otherwise. Oops. Boom. Still the familiar scene. A white, giant python that was countless times larger than before suddenly rose from ground. There was like a storm in the field, as if to roll everyone up to the sky. The scene is very shocking. The media did not pay attention, and the camera was already spiraling in the sky. Kawashima Rei exclaimed, That's why you have to spin with a steel rod, right? If it's a wooden stick, it can't carry that much power at all. Amazing. 35, such a huge white python could easily spin in Lin Fan's hands. The white python seemed to open its huge mouth and devour the audience. It's so shocking. I didn't expect that the power of the Bailuo snake would be so huge. 35. I thought it was the upper limit last time, but I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect it. 55. I have redefined Lin Fan's strength. I am afraid that the elite chefs who are guest stars will not be able to compete. Looks like I'm holding Theblu's invitation, so I'll have to watch this winter's competition. I'm really looking forward to it, and other regions this year are also very good. The audience was shocked and disgust. Seems to have gotten used to this hurricane. When the white python gradually subsided, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. After all, they were always so nervous. Available in the next second, I saw that after the white giant python fell slowly, what followed was not some bland handling of dough. Lin Fan once again touched the hearts of the audience. The steel rod in his hand turned again, but not for the purpose of making noodles. Kawashima Rei exclaimed, Is Lin Fan making dough? Such a big piece of dough, all rolled into dough? Oh no, it's not rolling, it's spinning with a steel rod. Boom, boom. As soon as Kawashima Rei's voice fell, the area of the rotating dough was getting bigger and bigger. The hurricane rolls up again on the field, and this time 070. The scene is even more shocking. The hurricane swept the surrounding ingredients into the air. Even the pots and pans on the side were not spared, and they were all rolled up. Yukihira SMA tried his best to cover with his body to keep his ingredients from being destroyed. Lin Fan is still turning his face. Only the skin is getting bigger and thinner, like a huge umbrella. The steel rod is the pole that supports the umbrella. The wind is getting stronger. The audience must hold each other and maintain their center of gravity so that they will not be swept up by the strong wind. Of the cameras in the media area, none of them were spared. It's just like a disaster. Everyone seems to be risking their lives to watch a cooking competition, but while exclaiming and shouting at the same time, it is fun to watch. Lin Fan slowed down the rotation speed as the dough became larger and thinner and the thickness of the paper became thinner. Stop slowly. A piece of dough the size of half a stage was assembled from countless cooking tables before it was put down. Kawashima Rei took a deep breath and asked calmly, Such a big piece of dough. Lin classmate, you can't spend so much trouble. You want to do hand-cut noodles, right? Lin Fan smiled and shook his head. Cute dividing line. Chapter 134, Change the invincible first Xiaomai in the universe. 3/5 for subscription. Lin Fan smiled and shook his head. If you roll out the dough by hand, you won't need an extra process. What I'm going to do is a Xiaomai. The crowd exclaimed. Xiaomai? Such a big skin. Lin Fan continued to laugh. If there is time to be surprised, I would like to trouble the staff. Can I find such a big steamer? In this case, I will save my time to get it. As soon as these words came out, Kawashima, Ray hurriedly shifted her gaze to the staff. Without further ado, the staff nodded hurriedly. No problem. I'll find it for you. Just concentrate on cooking and leave the rest to us. Guaranteed to deliver the steamer on time. After speaking, several staff members hurriedly set off. Lin Fan still smiled. This has made the media even more topical. There is nothing wrong with the prospective grandson-in-law, and there is such a treatment. Look at the other contestants. How could they be treated like this? There's no suspense in this one. If I hadn't wanted to watch Lin Fan cook, I'd have left early, and I'd be a little bored. 99. You can't say that. The competition itself does not restrict sanctions. You can bring your own props and kitchenware, and you can't ask the official for it. 35. Yes, it makes sense to say so. In this way, Lin Fan is going to win again. No suspense, pre-book the top 6. Oh no. Fast forward to the blue contest. I also really want to see Lin Fan compete with other chefs into the blue competition. You know, this year's chefs are too strong. Discussion started off the field. On Lin Fan's side, he once again walked to the ingredients area and glanced around. Finally, his eyes stopped on the beef. According to the recipe that the system asked him to learn, this dish should be made of pork. However, for Lin Fan, who can now cook at his own pace, there is obviously no pressure to change the ingredients in the recipe. Then, Lin Fan returned to the cooking table, holding a whole beef shank. But this was still not enough, and it was divided into several times, taking different parts of the meat. When the host Ray Kawashima saw this, he smelled the message again. He hurriedly came over and asked, "Can all the meat in these parts be used?" Lin Fan smiled and said, "Why not? If it's not possible, can I use it to play at home?" For the first time, Lin Fan even scolded the host on the court, but it still made the audience burst into laughter. Lin Fan can only think that these people's laughter is very low. When she took out the 7-star knife, Kawashima Ray started to make a fuss again. This is the 7-star knife, the biggest one. This reminds me, when Mito Yumei ate the halberd before, the fierce bull and the blue dragon slashed. Wow, it looks like the bull and the dragon slash is about to reappear. Facing the audience off the field, Ray Kawashima spoke with pride. It's for those who are not Tsuki. The current Lin Fan is like a living sign of Totsuki. As long as he mentions the name or the cooking skills he has used, he immediately has an invisible sense of superiority. Therefore, Kawashima Ray said even more proudly, "Everyone present. Speaking of this fierce bull, Qinglong Zhan, if it wasn't for Tsuki's student, I'm afraid I wouldn't know. After all, it was Tsuki's private halberds among the students before, and they didn't come out of the circle like they are now. This fierce ox and green dragon slash. When I recall it at this moment, I still have a lot of aftertastes." 35. Ray Kawashima looked intoxicated and continued, "Because it was hosted by me, I really remember it fresh." 35. That was the first time I saw Lin Fan use his cooking skills. 99. Thinking about it now, how ignorant I was at the time. I even questioned Lin Fan. 55. Everyone can now witness the fierce ox and the dragon beheading with your own eyes. Please don't blink your eyes, believe me, really. It's possible that you just blinked and missed a good show. This fierce ox Qinglong chop can really handle the beef in an instant, without destroying the meat fibers of the beef, without destroying a capillary, and without bleeding a drop of blood. I definitely didn't say anything big. The next action of Lin Fan will definitely surprise everyone. After speaking, Kawashima Ray turned to look at Lin Fan. This little girl is telling the truth. Lin Fan raised the 7-star knife under the attention of thousands of people. All the audience stared straight at it and held their breath. Someone else whispered, "Can you really achieve such an extreme sword technique? I still can't believe it." While the audience is still questioning, I saw the moment when Lin Fan's knife slid down. You can't see the light of the sword, only the shadow of the sword. Then, pieces of beef were cut thoroughly. The audience was amazed. What happened? It's all over in a split second? I didn't see anything. 35, it's fake. Is your site ready? I've seen videos on the internet before, and I think it's fake. How can it be possible for a normal person's hand speed to be like this? So he is Lin Fan. I've seen him on the halberd, and and cut up a whole cow in an instant. What is this corbel? It's not just a matter of snapping your fingers. A whole cow. What is said on the internet is actually true. Some viewers who came to see it for the first time really made a lot of controversy. The lens is macro and quickly hit the cut beef. Really, on the cutting board, the beef was still beating, which was enough to prove the freshness of the beef. After such beef is cut, there is not even a trace of fresh blood in the capillaries. Nothing but surprise. After all parts of the beef are cut into pieces, Lin Fan's next movements became smoother and faster. Seeing Yi Shanliang behind him, Zhao's forehead was sweating coldly, and the pressure was very high. At this time, the staff also found a steamer the size of a dough skin according to Lin Fan's request. Lin Fan put the dough into the steamer. Next is the filling he prepared earlier. It is very particular about putting it into the dough, and the speed is very fast. Kawashima Rei asked curiously, "Is this a whole bun? Why don't you do it separately? If it's such a whole, it's hard to get through, right?" The most important thing is that the stuffing problem is also very difficult to deal with. After all, there is no way to eat a whole bun. 99 Lin Fan laughed. "This is not steamed buns, this is shao mai. And this is not an ordinary shao mai. It is after my improvement, the invincible big shao mai in the universe." Everyone was surprised. Universal invincible big shao mai? Or unimproved fork? 66-inch. Chapter 135 Advance to the top 6. The crushing is over. 4/5. The revised version of the universe invincible big shao mai? Kawashima Rei looked puzzled, not knowing what Lin Fan meant. Lin Fan just smiled and didn't explain much. After all, you will see the difference after the finished product. Next is the waiting time. Looking back at the others, they're still seriously handling the ingredients. Lin Fan looked at Yukihira SMA's cooking and saw that he was also cooking noodles, and it was interesting. Kawashima Remi Lin Fan was following Yukihira SMA and hurried over. "Yukihira-san, you also cook pasta dishes? I saw you cooking just now, so it turned out to be a side dish." Yukihira SMA still has the attitude of not panicking. Looking at Kawashima Rei, she smiled and said, "Yes, I'm making ramen." Having said that, he has already started to pull the dough up in his hands. Kawashima Rei was pleasantly surprised. Ramen? It turns out that Yukihira-kun will also make handmade noodles on the spot. No wonder it is said in the circle that the students of the 92nd class are the most powerful class in recent years. 5, but Kawashima Rei said this, looked back at Lin Fan, and continued. "You know, Lin Fan's noodle dishes are very strong. Is it really possible to win?" Without any pressure, Yukihira SMA laughed. "I know that Lin Fan is very strong." 99. However, my ramen dish has been carefully improved through my Yukihira Geek series. I think definitely not familiar with Lin Fan's dashimai. Yukihira SMA spoke confidently. Rei Kawashima nodded and saw Ryo Hayama. Seeing him look serious and nervous. Don't bother to bother. As a result, everyone in the audience was waiting silently, especially Lin Fan's invincible big shao mai. Time passed by minute. Lin Fan looked very relaxed, stood aside, and started playing with his phone. This is the fastest time he has done, whether it is eating a halberd or in a competition. In one go, there is no suspense. Just stand by and watch it so easily. After half an hour, as Kawashima Rei announced the deadline, Lin Fan carded better and then turned off the fire. At this time, suddenly, I heard a burst of exclamation from the judges. Lin Fan turned around and looked over. It was Yukihira SMA's food. The judges did not taste, but were scrutinizing and commenting. "Oh, is this Yukihira Geeki Mapo Curry Ramen? It's a fusion of Mapo tofu and curry. There's also a lion head, a braised lion head. It's really weird. It's the first time I've seen such a wonderful combination." 35, just sitting here, the smell of fragrant and spicy smells hits my nostrils. I can't stop. Just smelling the smell, the tip of the tongue began to drool. I really want to quickly taste the taste of this lion's head. 35, the reviewers gave it a positive review. Yukihira SMA said with a look of self-confidence. "Ramen-based soup. I used a thick soup specially made from curry, and matched it with mapo tofu. The strong taste impact of the two has created a different spark. Xylai is braised lion's head, soaked in such a strong soup, a lion's head, in a curry mapo tofu soup. Because of the fact that autumn is coming soon, the dishes with slightly spicy food will warm your body when you eat them. The judges nodded. However, Ryo Hayama, who was standing by the side, looked at Yukihira SMA's cooking and refused to move. AIA. Then, because Lin Fan's cosmic invincible Big Xiaomai lifts the lid. This once again attracted the attention of the audience. Another burst of golden light burst out. The audience was amazed again, not for anything else, but because the aroma of siumai completely overwhelmed the taste of all dishes. The venue is filled with the rich meat aroma of siumai. The fragrance permeates every corner, making the audience unable to stop and drooling. When the light dissipated, two staff members came up again and slowly carried the huge siumai to the judges' table. It cannot be put down by the lift of the jury. The three judges took a close look, and in front of them was a group of about 10 people who could form a closed loop size of the siumai steamer. The judge lamented, "Such a siumai, it's so amazing, it's so big. It's hard to imagine how to steam them all in a short period of time." And the production is also quite amazing this time. It is the perfect kneading skills plus the perfect dough. With this tempting filling, it is hard to imagine how good this taste is. 99. In contrast, Yukihira Koen's braised lion head is slightly inferior. As the judges spoke, they got up and walked off the judge's seat. Lin Fan stood beside the siumai and said with a smile, "Everyone, the way to eat this siumai will taste different from different angles. Although it's just a siumai, it blends multiple flavors." The judges were in disbelief, but nodded. Can't wait to pick up the chopsticks and walk to the siumai. One of the judges, with trembling hands, hurriedly put on disposable gloves and put his palms on the siumai. Moment. Just for a brief moment. The judge looked intoxicated and said, "What a soft siumai. Oh my God, just by touching it with my hand, I can already feel the rolling soup inside the siumai." 99 saying that. The judge pierced the siumai skin with chopsticks. Whoa. In an instant, the soup in the siumai slowly overflowed out of control. It is steaming and exudes a strong aroma. It was as if there were a pair of invisible hands holding the judge's taste buds. Pulled off a piece of siumai, popped the filling inside, and ate it in one mouthful. Shocked, surprised, the judge looked at Lin Fan with surprise. After quickly rejecting it, he moved to another place, and in the same way, he picked up a piece of siumai and ate it. Another surprise. Changed the position again, the same action. The three judges went around the siumai like this, repeating the action to taste. One judge exclaimed, "The siumai tastes different in every location." Although the spices and the filling are the same, the texture of the filling is very different. 35 Kawashima Rei, Yukihira SMA, Hayama Ryo, and others around them couldn't help but picked up chopsticks and moved closer. Pick up a small piece and eat in your mouth. Yukihira SMA was shocked. It's beef tendon stuffing. It's so chewy. And at the very bottom is not only beef tenderloin, but also beef tendon, beef brisket. Also, the top is also different. I didn't eat a single bite. They were all meat from different parts. But it's amazing that although the seasonings are the same, the meat from different parts tastes completely different. 99. Beef brisket is chewy, but beef loin is not woody at all because of the relationship between butter and soup. This taste, amazing. It's a beef feast, Yukihira SMA said, looking at Lin Fan with admiration. I thought my Yukihira was a geek, and it was the pinnacle of innovation. But how on earth did you do it to come up with such a wonderful combination of ingredients? 35 Shanliang stood aside to taste. Originally, he was still amazed at Yukihira SMA's geek talent. But in the blink of an eye, Lin Fan's cosmic invincible siumai surprised him once again. Mingming sure Chengxi saw the combination of moisturizing spices, and he was born with a keen sense of smell. How could he output like this? This is Ryo Hayama, who has been thinking about it since Lin Fan talked to him in the first game. And after these few games, The one who had the least sense of existence was Shoko Kasuki. From the beginning to the end, without saying a word, cooking silently. He is completely different from the high-profile and confident Shoko Hayashiki. Lin Fan is thinking, maybe Shoko Kasuki is doubting his life. All the opponents he meets are immortals. At this time, when the judges made their decision again, they gave Lin Fan 100 points out of 100. After giving the rating, I still feel it's so delicious. No matter which step of the production, it is a perfect existence, and no flaws can be picked out. Yeah, I think I'm already a very picky person, but I didn't pick out any faults at all. Yes, Yukihira SMA's geeks, while innovative and tasty, are always lacking. It's good. The theme is Chinese cuisine, but Yukihira-kun's, after putting in the curry, it's a little bit hard to say. The judges debated. In the end, Kawashima Rei announced the results. Lin Fan has already set a historic record. I guess it is too difficult for future generations to break it. I got a perfect score of 100 points in 3 consecutive rounds. Oh my god, what kind of immortal grade is this? It's a lot of pressure on the younger students. There's no way to even break it. Next, the second place is still Yukihira-kun, the curry-flavored Mapo Lionhead Ramen. Although it is a little regrettable, it does not prevent the judges from giving a high score of 97. The third place is still Yishan Liang. Classmate, you doesn't seem to be in good shape these 2 rounds. The score is only 95 points. Finally, and unfortunately, Shoko Hayashiki ranked 4th with 92 points. So, we can only miss the top 6. We congratulate the above 3 students, Lin Fan, Yukihira SMA, and Ryo Hayama, for being the top 3 in Group A and successfully advancing to the top 6. Then next, we will merge the 2 sub-competition halls. We will also invite the top 3 of Group B to compete in a 6-4 competition. 39. Chapter 136 Nakiri Mana. This matter is not negotiable. 5/5 for subscription. Next, the top 3 of Group B also came from the next division. Kawashima Rei said excitedly, the top 3 in Group B are very good, and she is still our second seed, Kobayashi Senpai. Senpai's strength is really extraordinary. It seems that before graduation, I want to leave some amazing achievements for the younger generation. 99 then, let's invite Kobayashi Rintan. In a round of applause, Xiaolin Rintan was the first to appear. With a smiling face that is both righteous and evil, with snacks in his hands, he comes out while eating. Those 2 little tiger teeth are still so conspicuous. Went to Lin Fan, looked at her, didn't speak. Next, Yukihira SMA and Nakiri Arena appeared in order. Lin Fan looked at the people. No Tadakoro Megumi was eliminated. I can imagine seeing her lost when she went back to Polar Star Dorm. Afterwards, Rei Kawashima stood in the middle of the stage and said excitedly, the above is the top 6 of our elite chef competition. Of course, we congratulate them with warm applause. The next 6-4 knockout will be even more intense. I also hope that in tomorrow's game, you can still maintain your current state and bring you better cooking. Thank you for coming today. After Kawashima Rei finished speaking, the spotlights in the front row began to go out, and the audience began to leave, and packed up the electronic products damaged by the strong hurricane caused by Lin Fan's cooking. Others shook their heads subconsciously and sighed. To watch the game tomorrow, you must strengthen your protection. It's too expensive to watch a chef competition. The people on the stage gradually dispersed. When Lin Fan turned to leave, he found that Nakiri Arena had not left. She hesitated for a long time before she said that. Lin Fan looked back. Nakiri Arena thought for a while, then made another tsundere expression. Duplicitous. Tomorrow, I will try my best. I will not lose to you, Nakiri Arena said while holding hands. Lin Fan nodded and turned to leave. Nakiri Arena whispered from behind, but you have to do your best. Lin Fan turned half of his face, and when he looked at her out of the corner of his eye, Nakiri Arena suddenly became nervous. He turned around quickly and walked in the opposite direction. Lin Fan's hearing is very good. After all, he has unlocked the super 5 senses. Of course, he heard Nakiri Arena's words. This arrogant eldest lady is really duplicitous. Lin Fan disappeared. Nakiri Arena stopped and looked at the place where Lin Fan disappeared. Recalling what the media discussed earlier, the prospective grandson-in-law of the Nakiri family. Suddenly, Nakiri Irina blushed again, shook her head vigorously, and turned away. Outside the venue, a bunch of reporters were waiting for Lin Fan to come out. After seeing this, Lin Fan asked the members of Polar Star Dorm to take cover and threw off the reporters. Because at this time, I don't want to be disturbed by these annoying reporters. Now, he has something more important to do next. A villa somewhere, when Lin Fan stood in front of the gate, the butler came out to greet him. Passing through the huge courtyard, after passing through the spacious and luxurious hall, I came to a room outside. The servant pushed open the door sideways, motioning for Lin Fan to enter. Upon entering the room, there are familiar faces. Nakiri Mana. This is Nakiri Mana's private residence. Unlike the last time we met, I saw her sitting on the tatami, leaning on the waste pad on the side. Nutrient solution hanging from hand. It should have been better for a while. I didn't eat Lin Fan's food, and I started to lose my appetite again. When a maid saw Lin Fan come in, she stepped aside wisely. When Nakiri Mana saw Lin Fan, his listless face suddenly lit up. I knew you would come, after all. The invitation of the WGO's special officer. This is everyone's dream. Lin Fan, you are really lucky that you can get my approval for your cooking, and you can enjoy the privilege of cooking for me alone. 39. Seeing this, Lin Fan said calmly, Miss, I'm afraid you think too much. 35. I didn't come here because I was invited by you to be your personal cook and then feel proud. Sorry, I'm not interested at all. I'm talking about. I really doubt your professionalism. When Nakiri Mana heard this, a smile suddenly appeared on his serious face. Anyway, you're still here. Since I ate rainbow porridge last time, I really miss it. There are also people who are told to do the same, but they are too stupid to do it. So please. Otherwise, why did you come all the way here? 0. Ask for flour 0. Nakiri Mana said expectantly. Is completely different from the high-cold attitude just now. Lin Fan calmly said, the purpose of my visit today is to ask for an invitation letter from you. Nakiri Mana was stunned, a little surprised. Then he smiled and said, oh, it seems that you don't like the way the old man paved for you. Lin Fan shook his head and said, it's not. But what is it? You don't have to worry about it. And I don't want to take the time to tell you. I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm letting you choose. 99. Of course, you can refuse then. Please continue to live on the nutrient solution. Nakiri Mana looked surprised. This should be the first time that Lin Fan, a junior of this age, rushed in front of him and spoke with a blushing face and a heartbeat since she was so old. And the boy who made the conditions directly. Nakiri Mana thought for a while and said in surprise, I don't want to skip the tedious arrangement of the old man. 35. Then let me think. Oh, shouldn't you be? Nakiri Mana looked surprised again. Could it be for Arena? She also advanced today. Even if she can make it to the finals, no accident, she will definitely be defeated by you. 35. Hey, I've said it long ago, the blue contest, she is the most meaningless one. 35. Ha ha ha. Young man, it seems that you are very attentive to her. Is what the media said today true? You in Arena. Nakiri Mana smiled meaningfully. Then he continued, but I think about it, if that's the case. Everyone is really happy. This way, this is not exactly what the old man wants. 9. There's no need to force it. It's a matter of course. 95. Nakiri Mana covered her mouth and smiled. When Lin Fan saw this, there was no expression or unnecessary nonsense. Turn around directly, as if to leave. Nakiri Mana didn't want to keep it. The two seemed to be playing mental tactics. However, when Lin Fan walked out of the room, the maid was about to push the door closed. Nakiri Mana panicked. And many more. Lin Fan, who was standing outside the door, grinned. 0. The 137th course, golden plum fried rice, was completely conquered, 1/5 for subscription. Lin Fan looked back. Nakiri Mana took a deep breath and replied, I promise you. 35. As long as you are cooking for me to eat, you can take this invitation. It was originally for you. As for how you use it and where you use it, It's not my concern. What I'm most concerned about right now. What are you going to cook next? Nakirimana looked at Lin Fan expectantly. Lin Fan looked at the maid and asked, "Where is the kitchen?" The servant was stunned, looked at Nakirimana, and nodded at her. Then I took Lin Fan to the kitchen. Nakirimana asked the maid next to him to pull out the nutrient solution. Watching Lin Fan disappear, he said, "What will you cook this time? I'm really looking forward to it." What Lin Fan did, could it be the best food on earth that I've been looking for so many years? Kitchen 070. Lin Fan looked at the ingredients and quickly tied the waistband neatly. Nakirimana followed one after the other. At this time, Lin Fan picked up a few eggs. Still skillful, throwing eggs into the air. Whoosh whoosh, the arm waved gently. And after the spoon drew an arc in the air, the egg liquid also fell into the glass bowl instantly. The eggshells are precisely thrown into the garbage basket. Nakirimana was surprised. She is considered a powerful character in the food circle, and it was the first time she saw this way of egg beating. The servants around him were even more surprised. For them, this is simply more exciting than watching a good show. I've never seen it like this when you beat an egg. It's amazing. I've seen his video on the Elite Chef competition. It's amazing. I've never seen cooking like this. The servants were talking quietly. Nakirimana stood by, silent, watching silently. Later, seeing Lin Fan brought rice again. From experience, this is what it means to make fried rice. Nakirimana couldn't help but said, "Young man, should I use Thebla's invitation for a fried rice? Will it be a little too popular?" Lin Fan replied calmly, "Ma'am, to be honest, it is indeed a bit of a distraction. However, I think that even a dish of mine can completely conquer your taste buds." Nakirimana was surprised again. Lin Fan's words showed that she was disdainful of her. But Nakirimana didn't want to argue. According to Lin Fan's experience, when he is ready to taste, he will know whether he is talking big. Nakirimana did not speak and continued to watch silently. Boom boom, Lin Fan skillfully stirred the fried rice in the pot. This recipe doesn't take much time, just a few moments. Then, a plate of fragrant egg fried rice came out of the pot. There is no exaggerated golden light before, but egg fried rice on the plate, but silently shining. Lin Fan said with a smile, "This is an improved version of golden egg fried rice. It should suit you very well. Try it." Nakirimana couldn't help but lean over. "Take a look. The rice grains are even and full. This is the excellent ingredients I provide here." The egg liquid also evenly wrapped the rice, and the grains were distinct. 39. It seems that every grain of rice is shining. Very shocking. It's just the smell. It seems to be more fragrant than the egg fried rice I've tasted, but is this dish really worth an invitation? Nakirimana questioned. Even if you believe in Lin Fan's cooking skills, it's a little too childish. It's all about belittling her. But Lin Fan always maintained his attitude and said, "These words are superfluous before tasting." Nakirimana hesitated. After all, she has to experience a lot of dishes like this at the annual event every year. But the person who cooks this fried rice is Lin Fan. If it were anyone else, I'm afraid they would have been kicked out by Nakirimana long ago. So, Nakirimana took a spoon, scooped it, and was ready to taste. "I'm still thinking about it. I hope I don't spit it out." As soon as he entered, Nakirimana's eyes became surprised. Chew carefully. Each grain of rice is so soft and glutinous in the process of chewing. Qinglong. Of course, she knew it was because of the premium rice. This egg-fried rice actually opened her taste buds instantly, as if she had returned to that green youth. After a bite of egg-fried rice, the taste has reached its peak. Nakirimana was intoxicated, enjoying this plate of golden egg fried rice. This scene stunned the servants around him. This, an ordinary plate of fried rice, does it really have such a miraculous effect? I don't know. I think that the way of beating eggs is a little bit special. It's just fried rice with an egg. How can it be so amazing? I've never seen Miss Nakiri eat food since I entered this villa, especially like now. It's scary. The servant said unbelievably 0. Because at the moment Nakirimana, like eating hyunmai, the whole person can't stop at all. Eat egg fried rice bite after bite. Soon, the entire plate was eaten up. Mana looked anxiously into the pot, and there was something left. If she was too slow, she didn't need to be helped by anyone, so she put the rest of the fried rice on the plate by herself. Eat again. This look is very contagious, and even the servant next to him couldn't help but salivate when he saw it. Never seen Mana like this. In no time, Mana completely finished the egg fried rice. Putting down the plate, he still looked at Lin Fan with a lingering expression. After thinking for a while, he said in surprise, "It's incredible. You added sour plums to your fried rice." 35 Lin Fan nodded and smiled. "Yes, it's sour plums. Didn't I say it before? For a picky eater like you, the first thing to do is not to cook delicious food." 55. The first step is to open up your appetite. Appetizers are important, lady, plus my ultimate egg fried rice. That's why you can't stop eating, and the more you eat, the more you want to eat. Mana was stunned. After a long time, he said, "Young man, what do you want? As long as you speak, I will definitely promise you all." 99. As long as you can promise to cook 0.0 food for me every day, as long as I could do it, I promise you everything unconditionally. 35. The servants are stunned. Is this the usual Mana in Tsundere? However, Lin Fan took the invitation from Mana. Then he calmly smiled and said, "This lady, I'm afraid you can't give me what I want. I'm talking about what you can give, and I can easily do it without you needing to give it. Why do I still cook for you?" After speaking, Lin Fan turned around and left. Throw down the confused Mana. After a long time, she regained her strength and said, "This guy, too arrogant. However, his cooking skills completely conquer my taste buds and made me unforgettable." Chapter 138, The Prelude of Pyroblasting and Flame Cooking. 2/5 for subscription. Between Moon and Sky, the game was going on as normal, and Lin Fan came across Nakiri Arena as he entered the arena. It's still the same high-cold Queen Fan, but only Lin Fan knows that Nakiri Arena is two different people. No one else could have imagined that the goddess in their eyes, the queen, was crying like a child in front of Lin Fan. Nakiri Arena glanced at Lin Fan and walked into the venue silently. On the stage, Kawashima Rei changed into a more cute outfit. Excited, he stood on the stage and said with a smile, "Everyone, we meet again." 55. Today's 6 and 4, the rules are still the same, and the bottom two are eliminated. After entering the semi-finals, the remaining two in the final group will go to the finals. Only the champion of the group can compete with the elite graduates of the previous years. Then, without further ado, let's get straight to the point. Speaking, Kawashima Rei opened her hand card and said, "The theme of this game is butter. Chef 08. The ingredients area behind you has everything you need, all of which are the freshest and highest quality. Certainly, if some chefs are very demanding and want to get fresher ingredients by themselves, we have a living area here too." When Kawashima Rei said this, she looked at Lin Fan, and this was for him. Everyone turned their attention to Lin Fan again. Kawashima Rei continued to laugh. "Then the next hour is still 1 hour. Chefs, please start." Then, in a burst of applause and cheers, the contestants began to disperse. Lin Fan looked at the kitchen supplies area and had a very good idea when he saw that there were countless small stoves. Moreover, as long as this dish is made, it will definitely shock the audience again. Still unprecedented. With that said, Lin Fan started to clean up the small stove. Everyone else is concentrating on choosing ingredients, but Lin Fan has started to do some incredible things again. Kawashima Rei came over and said puzzledly, "You are here. Do you need so many stoves?" 1, 2, 3 for student Lin. You have already moved 10 portable stoves. What are you going to do? With so many stoves at the same time, is this dish very complicated to cook? Kawashima Rei looked curious. Lin Fan was still arranging the stove, taking them out one by one, and tidying them up. What happened next was even more surprising. I saw Lin Fan holding the stove and following his cooking table for a week, putting the stoves down one by one. This made everyone curious. Everyone's attention was once again focused on Lin Fan. What is this doing? If the ingredients are processed at the same time, it should not be placed like this. 99 Lin Fan has always played his cards unsettled. If he didn't act strangely, he would appear abnormal. But I'm also curious, what is this going to do? 10 furnaces. Even if they start working at the same time, they will still be able to keep busy. I'll see if I can't see it, but I really don't want to make a big fuss. After all, I just bought the phone today. The audience chatted with gusto. After hearing this, the media hurried to protect their cameras for fear that something might go wrong. Then, when Lin Fan put the charcoal fires into the stove one by one. At this time, everyone is sure that it is to prepare and cook the ingredients at the same time. At this time, Ray Kawashima reminded, "Student Lin, 10 minutes have passed since the game time. Although I know you can manage your time well, I still have to remind you." Lin Fan didn't answer, only then rummaged in the kitchen area again. Lin Fan was secretly delighted and had appraised Totsuki kitchen utensils and some props, regardless of whether they could be used or not. In short, they could be found. So, Lin Fan rummaged and found an iron chain. This made everyone more confused. Kawashima Ray couldn't help asking, "Student Lin, the way you cook ingredients, I and the audience can't understand more and more. That is why it makes sense to prepare so many stoves at the same time, because the ingredients need to be processed at the same time. But this chain, I really can't relate to cooking and cooking. So, can you tell me, what are you going to do?" Kawashima Ray said, while making a cute appearance. With an eager expression on his face, he looked at Lin Fan. When Lin Fan saw this, he simply said, "What ingredients are you going to make? You'll know later. But now I can reveal one thing. It's a fish." Kawashima Ray was surprised. "Fish? I use a charcoal fire. Is this going to prepare a charcoal grill? Then what is the function of this chain? I'm so curious." Kawashima Ray said, while following Lin Fan's A. Nakiri Arena looked up. She was a little confused. After watching Lin Fan's so many long games, every cooking can be said to be perfect. Yesterday was another 3 rounds of full marks, which had to put pressure on Nakiri Arena. But she had to win this game again and go to the end. Lin Fan became her biggest rival. As long as Lin Fan can be compared, the remaining contestants, Nakiri Arena, have confidence. 0-70 after thinking about it. She still has to go all out to make cooking. However, the sound of boiling again on the field shocked everyone who was concentrating on cooking. Competing with Lin Fan requires not only high cooking skills, but also a different mentality. At this time, Lin Fan ignited the fire of 10 furnaces that surrounded the city. Boom, boom, the flames in the fire quickly burst out. This scene quickly brought the atmosphere in the venue to the highest point. Everyone is boiling again, and their emotions are even more excited and high-pitched. Amazing! A very flaming scene. It's just cooking, it's too hot. I'm so excited now that I can't speak. Lin Fan's cooking scene always gives people unexpected surprises. Whatever he cooks, this scene ignited a fire in my heart. And now, I just want to shout out and cheer for him. Everyone in the audience stood up, exclaimed, and shouted. I never thought that a cooking competition would have such a scene, which made people extremely excited and excited. Emotions have remained high and unabated. Boom, boom. The flames in the stove turned into flames. Amidst the boiling noise, Lin Fan started the next move. Chapter 139, Tianxiong Roasted Herring, Blast the Audience. 3/5 for subscription. I saw Lin Fan calmly, bypassing the stove and coming to the cooking table. He also ignored the audience who were almost hoarse at this time. One by one, the fish were hung on the chain. The audience exclaimed. It turns out that the role of the chain is here to hang the fish on it. I see, because the iron chain has strong thermal conductivity, so the fish can be cooked evenly, right? What a creative idea. More importantly, this kind of charcoal grill is definitely much more fragrant than oven-baked. 99, good idea, but the question now is how should Lin Fan fix this chain so that the fish can be stabilized on the fire? Otherwise, it will be a waste of time. Then look down and know. I'm looking forward to it. Lin Fan really subverts all my knowledge of cooking. The audience was tireless and kept talking over and over again. After Lin Fan hung the fish on the chain, people thought he was going to get the fix tool. But I never thought seeing him take the iron chain directly in his hand and walked towards the middle of the stove. Kawashima Ray exclaimed, "This was classmate Lin doing?" Without watching him use a fixed rack. This is preparing to grill fish by hand? Impossible. It's too exaggerated. You know, this iron chain is very hot. How can it be possible with bare hands? Even if you don't use your bare hands and wear heat-insulating gloves, you can't stand in the stove like this. 35 Kawashima Ray's voice just fell. I saw Lin Fan, without hesitation, walked neatly to the middle of the stove. In a circle of 10 stoves, Lin Fan stands in the middle of the circle. Wow, all amazed. I have never seen cooking like this. The audience is screaming. Oh my God, I've never seen cooking like this before. It's amazing. Lin Fan, this guy, wouldn't he have practiced? He combined martial arts into cooking. Otherwise, how could it be possible? How could ordinary people do it? Never seen, really unheard, never seen, it's scary. Will something happen? Probably not. Come on, Lin Fan. At this time, the contestants behind Lin Fan were all stunned, stopping the ingredients that were being processed in his hands, one by one's eyes fixed on this Lin Fan. Just like that, I watched Lin Fan standing in the center of the stove. How can this be tolerated? Boom, boom. As the flames in the furnace rose, Lin Fan began to turn the chain in his hand. Rotation is still the familiar rotation. Just swap the stick for a chain. There was an audience shouting, "Everyone pay attention. Be optimistic about your own things, or you will lose more than your gains." After the voice fell, boom, boom, due to the speed at which the chains are rotating, the flames in the fire are blown up again. The flames in the 10 furnaces burst out at the same time, like a volcanic eruption. Lin Fan was alone, standing in the middle of the flames, and he had long been invisible. It's like being swallowed by flames. Everyone clenched their fists for fear of any accident. Above the flames, the fish on the chain could be seen flying over the stove one by one, running at high speed. The audience breathed a sigh of relief. This scene stunned the judges on the jury stand. "Old man, I have been in the food industry for decades, but I have never seen such a cooking technique. Even my father and grandfather have never seen it, because there is no record." In the end, where did you come to realize the cooking technique? It's so shocking. By telling the rotation like this, each fish can be heated evenly, so that each fish is grilled deliciously. This is really incredible. I can't imagine how this young man did it. And these memories are inherited in people. That's what I'm curious about. He has such advanced cooking skills at such a young age. So what about his master's cooking skills? Peerless master. Several judges kept shaking their heads in amazement. The scene was once hot. Amidst all the cries of the audience, boom, I saw Lin Fan spread the seasoning in his hand to the fish. In an instant, the flames rose again. At this time, the fish that made a sound quickly exuded a charming aroma. Kawashima Ray exclaimed, "It's butter! It's the smell of butter." Lin Fan just sprinkled butter. Oh my God, it's delicious. The whole venue is filled with this strong fragrance. The voice just fell. Bola, another spice sprinkled. At the same time, when the sauce falls on the fish, it instantly releases its aroma and blends with the butter. However, the judge was suddenly enlightened and said in surprise, grave accent, the sauce that Lin Fan sprinkled on the fish, because of the centrifugal force of the high-speed rotation, the sauce quickly penetrated into the fish. 39. When the flame is over, the excess sauce is popped again. This is repeated over and over again, so that the fish can be perfectly flavored, and after being evenly heated, the grilling is submissive. It's amazing. The way the fish is grilled like this is amazing. At this time, there is another fragrance wafting out. Another judge also exclaimed, "This fragrance is bamboo." So Lin Fan also added bamboo to the charcoal fire. 5, I get it, I totally get it. The judge looked excited and continued, "I added bamboo to the charcoal fire and burned it together. After the bamboo burns, it will emit a fragrant smoke. And this smoke can be smoked on the fish. There's only one way for Lin Fan to do this. That's to remove the smell, remove the fishy smell of the fish. And the fish itself comes from the soil, of Zhao's fishy smell in the water. 35. These smells can be completely removed during the smoking process with the fragrance of bamboo. And it can also give the fish a fresh bamboo fragrance. This is something that the oven simply can't do. If there is a single stove, there's no time to make it. So Lin Fan used these 10 stoves. Use the maximum firepower and maximum temperature to cook the fish evenly. Seconds, it's really amazing. This young man is really incredible. Even a professional top chef. Even if he has such an idea, he may not dare to try it. But Lin Fan did it. He did it on the spot. Amazing, absolutely amazing. This must be a plus point. Such a cooking skill is definitely a plus point. The reviewers raved about it. This caused the other contestants behind Lin Fan to take a deep breath. Chapter 140, The Power of the Fire Explosion Chef. 4/5 for subscription. This scene, the back, is all watching. So scary. Lin Fan's strength is far beyond their imagination. Just such a high-profile cooking method, any chef can't stand it. At this time, Kawashima Rei reminded, the deadline for the competition is 20 minutes. After hearing the urging, the talents reacted, and unknowingly, they forgot their identity as a contestant. It turned out to be like a spectator standing on the side watching. With less than 20 minutes left, a group of people began to step up the production. But Yu Guang is still inseparable from Lin Fan. After all, such wonderful cooking skills cannot be seen just by looking at them. There is also the smell of grilled fish, which completely filled the entire venue and laughed at the corners and corners. The audience was excited and hungry. This feels so exhausting. Lin Fan keeps turning the chain. The sauce that is sprinkled on the fish, the gravy that overflows from the fish after it is grilled. Under the macro lens, the whole grilled and crispy fish on the big screen makes people drool. Time passed by minute. Lin Fan still took the trouble to spin the 070 iron chain. Some people can't help shaking their heads in admiration. This physical strength is really different from ordinary people. When the speed of Lin Fan's rotation slowed down, everyone guessed that this was the rhythm to be released. At this time, the grilled fish was already crispy all over. The shell was bubbling with oil, and the rich aroma of the sauce was exuded. Lin Fan retracted the chain. The audience subconsciously leaned forward, trying to follow Lin Fan's rhythm. One by one, those eager eyes. Lin Fan took off the grilled fish one by one, put them on a plate, and made the final decoration. The rich butter is accompanied by the aroma of grilled fish, which surrounds and bursts. While the others were finishing up, Lin Fan had already prepared the dishes and brought them to the jury. The judges subconsciously leaned forward. This is the first time I've seen such amazing cooking skills at this age. Lin Fan, there are so many surprising things about you. The old man spoke calmly. Later, the judge next to him also said, "Who is your teacher to have such superb cooking skills? You are no longer an ordinary chef. You can make it with a little knowledge of ordinary cooking. This is more like kung fu cuisine." When the judge said this, the two judges on the side nodded one after another, expressing their approval. The audience was chatting again. Kung fu cooking? It's much clearer to say this. Lin Fan's ability can only be explained by his knowledge of kung fu. Yeah, otherwise, even if an ordinary person is wearing a heat-insulating suit and standing in the middle of a pile of flames, he can't stand it. But he is calm and comfortable. Yes, if you really know kung fu and apply it to cooking, it will be a revolutionary innovation. 35. Not only that, the combined kung fu cuisine is no better than ordinary cuisine. It is definitely a new breakthrough in the food industry. 35. Yeah, this is no doubt that the current food circle has been injected with fresh blood. The media off the field were discussing it. At this time, a judge picked up his chopsticks and couldn't help but pick up a piece of fish. Just when the chopsticks just touched the fish. Just for a moment. Whoa. The flesh of the fish is like petals, which instantly bloom to both sides. An alluring aroma burst out. As for the pieces of fish, from the perspective of the roasting color, all of them are uniform, and no piece was given too much or too little heat. This made the two judges on the side stunned, and quickly grabbed the chopsticks. When the cameraman saw this, he followed Kawashima Rei, coming one after the other. Under the macro distance, the flesh of the fish is like a blooming flower. The flesh looks soft and tender, and the gravy is still overflowing. The judge's chopsticks at the moment when they are inserted into the fish. Whoa, at one time the flesh of the fish disintegrated instantly. The last judge, the force is relatively light, just touch the chopsticks lightly on the fish. Whoa, the ending is the same like dominoes. Touch it, and it all disperses out of control. The judges were surprised. This meat is so soft that it has been roasted, but the fish inside looks tender and juicy. The most important thing is to look at the color, and the seasonings are evenly flavored. I have to try it now, the judge said, subconsciously picking up a piece of fish. The fish meat was on the chopsticks, tender and quivering. Eat it in one bite. Wow. The fish meat, whose seasonings had already fully tasted, instantly melted in the mouth, and the taste spread to the entire taste buds. Butter. It's the milky smell of butter, and the fish tender, fresh, soft. The belly part melts in your mouth. The judge said in surprise. Pick up a piece of fish again and eat it. This is the second time when I tasted it. It was different from the last one. There's already this taste in the mouth as the base, and the original taste, after the second bite, the taste has been completely sublimated. What a wonderful use of this butter. After Lin Fan's special flame grilling, the butter penetrates deeper into the fish. As soon as you take a bite, the fish is filled with the rich aroma of butter. 39. The meat is very fresh and tender. It didn't cause the fish to lose moisture due to long-term frying. On the contrary, under such a big flame, it is very amazing to be able to control the heat well. 99. In addition to this sauce, it's amazing. It's different from the grilled fish sauce I've had before. It has a fresh taste, and it's the seasoning that makes the whole grilled fish not greasy. On the contrary, it plays the role of understanding. What the hell is this seasoning? 99. The judge looked at Lin Fan with a puzzled look. Not only this judge, but also the two around him nodded one after another. Of course, even those in the audience who didn't experience it themselves would really want to know the answer. Kawashima Rei stood aside, but she couldn't eat it when she saw it. She was very envious. Lin Fan calmly smiled and said, "Because this side has joined." Chapter 141 Butter, Mixed Meat Sushi Rice versus Inflammatory Moxibustion Grilled Fish. 5/5 for subscription. There's indeed more than one flavor in this seasoning, and this spice is very special. That's what ginger, scientific name mountain pepper. Everyone said in unison, mountain pepper? The judge thought for a while and suddenly realized, no wonder. 35. It turned out to be mountain pepper. It turned out to be it. How could I forget the flavor seasoning? This seasoning is very powerful, and it also has the effect of warming the stomach and curing stomach pain. Lin Fan nodded and smiled. Yes, because this moxibustion grilled fish has a strong taste. 99. When I make the preparation, I have it in consideration for the sake of palatability, but also for the stomach of the eater to be able to adapt. So I added mountain pepper to remove oil, refreshing and greasy, and the taste is clear. It is grilled with rich butter. The taste is absolutely perfect. 35. Pat, pat, pat. The judges couldn't help applauding and exclaimed, amazing. To be able to come up with such a formula is really amazing. Following what I asked before, where did your teacher come from? I don't believe that at your age, you have such understanding. If it weren't for the guidance of an expert behind you, some people might not be able to understand it for a lifetime. Of course, a person with good savvy, at least at my age, can only do it after decades of baptism. But at a young age, you actually realize these recipes. What's more exaggerated is that you can also realize the ultimate meaning of food. Can you name your master and let everyone know who is the peerless master? Lin Fan was a little embarrassed after hearing this. After thinking for a while, he replied, my master is a reclusive master. It was also because of some coincidence that I became attached to him and taught me these techniques. Since it is a hidden world, it means that I don't want to participate in the turbulence of the world, and I just want to be quiet. 99. So, not only is the master unwilling to be named, but I will not say it. As I said, the master has passed away for many years. Then the deceased is the greatest. The judges nodded. One of the judges could immediately question it. But as far as I know, you grew up in an orphanage. How could you possibly come into contact with this peerless master? Lin Fan was stunned. Another reviewer went on to respond. I heard that too. 95. Lin Fan has been a good cook in the orphanage since he was a child. Maybe you met him outside by chance. Since the other party doesn't want to be mentioned, why bother to ask again and again here? The three judges nodded. Lin Fan breathed a sigh of relief. This is a good reason, and today's opportunity, it is also good to say it here. The province will have to explain it later. Next, the judges turned their attention to Yukihira SMA's cooking. Seeing his self-confidence. I made this sushi rice with mixed meat and butter. 35. The special feature is that it uses the galbai sauce and then apple butter developed by a classmate. And another classmate developed a cheese recipe. Through the combination of these three special seasonings, the rice is wrapped in marinated meat and sent to the pan for frying. This is my Yukihira speciality, sushi rice with mixed meat and butter. 35. The judges nodded. Add this mixed meat sushi in turn. Appearance size, slightly larger than sushi, similar in appearance. On top of the sushi, a layer of cheese is also poured. When the sushi is sandwiched, the fragrant cheese is instantly shredded. The audience is drooling for a while. The judge also swallowed his saliva subconsciously and then took a bite. Kakaka, the crispy crust quickly cracked the moment the upper and lower teeth touched the sushi. This crisp sound was captured by the microphone. Wow, the audience was surprised and curious, and even very eager to taste it. Then, kakaka, the two judges bit down on the sushi one after another, and the crisp sound resounded throughout the audience again. Let the audience be addicted. Bibimbap with onions and chickpeas in the crispy shell of the mixed meat. The aroma spreads to the whole mouth instantly. The rich butter aroma, the milky aroma of cheese when you bite into the crispy shell, and the fresh aroma of sushi bibimbap after being soaked in gravy. The whole process was completed in one go, and the judges couldn't help but applaud one after another. Ask for flour 00. I didn't expect that after wrapping the mixed meat into a shell, matching the rice on the wrap, and sending it to the pan for frying, it can produce such a wonderful taste. Yes, the perfect combination of cheese and butter with the onions and the rice produced a hint of sweetness. With the addition of chickpeas, speaking of being slightly sweet, the sweetness is not just from the onion, it's the sweetness of the fruit. It's the apple. 39. Yukihira SMA proudly said, yes, this is what I just said, combined with apple butter developed by classmate. 35, it has a fruity taste, which is similar to Lin Fan's mountain pepper, and also has the effect of relieving greasy. Not only does it relieve greasy, but it also increases the taste. The judges nodded one after another, praising Yukihira SMA. At this time, Yukihira SMA glanced at Lin Fan subconsciously. Next, the judges once again turned their attention to Ishiki Satoshi's cooking. Ishiki Satoshi kept squinting his eyes and said, this is a special butter eel rice bowl, and the characteristic of this dish, the clever use of butter, is the perfect combination of oranges and butter creates a novel taste. The most important thing, Ishiki Satoshi paused, then laughed. The judges just have to taste it. What I'm talking about here is the key. Ishiki Satoshi tried to sell. The judges nodded. Subconsciously, he moved his gaze to the side again. It was Nakiri Irina's cooking. Nakiri Irina, still with the same Tsundere expression, said, this appetizer is called butterwind hare meat. 35. The point is the soup made with butter, and there's another layer of mysterious soup. The combination of these two melded into a new dual taste. You can only experience the taste after you have tasted it yourself. The judges nodded collectively. One of the judges said, is it also a mysterious taste like Ishiki classmates? That's quite exciting. Then I'll give it a try. This chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 142 is Lin Fan in danger? Subscribe. As the judges say so, pick up this buttery hair from the kiri arena. I grabbed a small piece and subconsciously smelled it. A rich, buttery aroma instantly hits the nostrils. Took a bite. Kakaka, the long-lost arc, appeared in the judges' heads. The special taste of hare meat is instantly dispersed in the mouth. Chew carefully. The judge said, this dish, using hare meat, is just right. Rabbits growing in the wild have a lot of exercise every day, and the ratio of muscle to fat is just right. So after eating, the rabbit meat is not fat and thin, but it will not have a very chai taste because it is too thin and the meat is very chewy. And the judges ate another piece. The double taste that Nakiri said should be miso soup. Nakiri Arena smiled and nodded. Yes, the hidden secret taste is miso soup. Actually, some clams were added in the middle to enhance the freshness and make the taste even more delicious. 99083, and at the same time, it is multi-layered, 66-inch. Several judges nodded one after another. Delicious. The double taste is a treat from the future. Then, the judges went back to Ishiki Satoshi's butter eel rice bowl. On top of the grilled and crispy eel, some caviar was served. The judges subconsciously ate the rice with eel and caviar in one bite. Kakaka shocked. Butter-flavored eel, grilled for added benefit. It's still delicious on the outside and tender on the inside. And even more exaggerated, it's caviar. The moment the fish roe burst, it produced a novel taste, slightly sweet and sour. The judge was surprised. This taste, orange, is added to the caviar. 39 Ishiki Satoshi smiled and said, yes, I used orange juice, and it was paired with some orange pulp. Not too much, so it wouldn't affect the overall taste too much. 99. And the hidden texture is orange-flavored fish roe. 35. In the cookie-cutter taste of grilled eel. Suddenly, this refreshing touch is definitely a great treat for the taste buds. The judges nodded one after another. Yes, indeed. 39. The students who participated in today's competition seem to have the same taste, using hidden taste. Lin Fan's mountain pepper, Yukihira's apple, Ishiki orange. It's all very experienced. So what about Kobayashi-san? Saying that, the judges looked to the side. It was Kobayashi Rindo's cuisine. Xiaolan Jinshin showed his little tiger teeth and said with a smile, I made this butter mushroom puff pastry. Mushrooms are on top, but in the middle layer, each layer has a different texture. The judges looked at it. The shape is very simple. 2 layers of puff pastry are stacked on top of each other, topped with thinly sliced mushrooms and garnished with broth. Therefore, the judges couldn't wait to eat the puff pastry. As soon as you enter it, the crispy shell of the puff pastry will make a crisp sound immediately after being bitten. After the microphone was turned off, it instantly ran through the audience. The audience subconsciously let out a sigh. The judges took bite after bite, biting into the crispy lasagna. There's mashed potatoes in this mezzanine, a judge said after tasting it carefully. Another judge also sighed. Yes, not only mashed potatoes, but also mashed mushrooms. And each layer is very different in taste, creating a distinct layering. 35. It is the relationship between light and heavy ingredients, so that even with the same ingredients, you can eat different tastes. It's here, the mushroom slices on the surface. It's sliced mushrooms fried in butter and served with a special sauce. 35. It's slightly sour, and it tastes like lemon. Xiaolan Jinshin laughed. Yes, this is my special lemon butter sauce. Lemons are fresh and delicious, but I don't use much lemon juice. I should say I use more lemon peels. The judges were surprised. Lemon peel? Xiaolan Jinan smiled and said, yes, just a few drops of lemon juice were added to change the taste. It's just a little bit of acid with sweetness. But what really works is the peel of the lemon, which has been specially treated to separate the skin and flesh of the middle layer. Then add it into it after it is minced, and the amount is not much, and it will not affect the taste of the meat itself. But it's refreshing and delicious. That's the specialty of this butter lasagna. The judges nodded. Finally, it is Hayama Ryo's cuisine. It's a burger. Before Yi Shanliang spoke, he glanced at Lin Fan and continued. This is my modified turkey-style butter burger. 9. Continuing the previous turkey with Indian pickles and combined with holy basil herbs. 35. This upgraded version of barbecue burger will taste more layered. The judges nodded and started tasting. Pick up the burger and take a bite. The barbecue gravy from the burger immediately overflowed and quickly spread over the entire burger bun. The butter of the grilled meat is paired with the herbs of holy basil, and an exotic flavor bursts out in an instant. This made the judges gobsmacked. This time, all 6 dishes have been tasted. At the critical moment, the final score, the judge said, "The cooking of the 6 classmates is very good, and it is worth mentioning that Nakiri's cooking is very special. It is not like the other 3, but uses aquatic clams and miso soup to achieve the multiple tastes of the dishes. In terms of ingredients and taste, the taste is not too out of line. I love this buttery roasted hare from Nakiri Irina." 46-inch. At the time of scoring, the judges were the first to comment on Nakiri Irina. It was still Sunder's expression, a look of impending success. Afterwards, the judge continued, "Nakiri, who has the tongue of God, can be said to have reached the extreme in the production of ingredients. In terms of rating, I give this dish a rating of 98. If it's 2 points, it's a bit conservative in terms of cooking innovation. It doesn't seem to be at the level expected." While the field started to boil. Next, another judge said, "I agree with what he said, but for creativity, it is enough to deduct 1 point. I want to give 99 points. Wow, a piece of boiling." The last judge said, "Nakiri's dish in terms of ingredients, cooking techniques, and matching. It's already the ultimate. So if it's creative and conservative, I think it's enough to deduct 1 point. So I give 99 points too." Wow, the fryer is off the field. Even Nakiri Irina's strength is strong, but still frying. Rei Kawashima came out at this time and said excitedly, "According to the scoring rule of 6 and of 4, the highest score for removing a reviewer is 99, and the lowest score for removing a review is 98. Then Nakiri Irina's final score, 99 points. Oh my god, it's still 99 points. With such a high score, the other students are under a lot of pressure. 35, pat, pat, pat. There was applause and cheers, as if wishing Nakiri Irina a victory in advance. I saw Nakiri Irina clasping her hands, as if all this was for granted. Next, make a rating in order. Fortunately, 0.0 flat SMA, 98, 97, 98. The judge said, "Yukihiro-kun's cooking is also great, but compared to Nakiri-san's, fried rice wrapped in fried meat is a bit too complicated. If the fried rice and the fried meat can be adjusted properly, it will be much better." Yukihiro SMA did not speak. Next, it's Hayama Ryo, 95, 96, 95. Kobayashi Jinshin, 97, 96, 97. Ishiki Satoshi, 95, 95, 95. Finally, it's Lin Fan. The judges left Lin Fan's rating for the end, which made the audience curious. At this time, Lin Fan's score is particularly important. Cute dividing line chapter 143, "It doesn't matter if you fail, then watch my performance." Subscribe. Lin Fan's next score is especially important. But at this time, the speculation and rumors of the media off the field have been overwhelming. It seems that the judges like Nakiri Irina's cooking very much, so it should be no problem to advance. 35. Why should Lin Fan's score be finalized? Could it be that Lin Fan, who has always won, is going to lose this time? The situation may not be optimistic, but I think Lin Fan's flamboyant cooking, just technically speaking, is a complete blow to other players. It depends on what the judges say. I personally think that Lin Fan's cooking has surpassed everything. The audience chatted. The judges seem to be under a lot of pressure. Several judges whispered to each other, then sat up straight again. Then they discussed with each other. This picture makes people more and more curious. It can't help but give people a random thought. Is there something wrong with Lin Fan's cooking? Or, after the ratings are announced, there'll be other disputes. So that's what the judges do. In any case, the audience felt that Lin Fan's situation was not optimistic. For him, who was pushed all the way, if there's really some reason, it will stop at 08 steps. There will be a lot of controversy in the circle. The reviewers are still discussing. The audience and the media off the field had even more discussions. After a while, the three judges seemed to have negotiated. This time, instead of three people scoring in sequence, one of the judges in the middle spoke as a representative. The audience's emotions were aroused. Very nervous, the judge coughed lightly and said, "As for Lin Fan's score in this field, after discussion among the three judges, we decided that I would speak on behalf of the judge and give the final result. After all, the following results may cause some controversy. That's why the three of us need to negotiate, but 35. Even so, we ended up agreeing to give the grades according to the original idea. So, Lin Fan's rating in this game is..." Speaking of which, the audience held their breath, because I don't know if this rating is bad news for Lin Fan. After all, very mysterious. The judge took a deep breath and continued. Lin Fan's final score, our three judges unanimously decided. His final score was 135. Wow, the audience is shocked. Instant boiling. 100 points? Are you sure I heard correctly? If it's a full score, why sell it for a long time? I thought I was eliminated. My God, another 100. This is Lin Fan's first full score? That's it? I thought I was going to eliminate Lin Fan. I was afraid of causing controversy, so the judges discussed it so seriously. So, after discussing for a long time how to say these 100 points, it will be shocking. Although I think Lin Fan deserves this perfect score, it's too appetizing. 35, a false alarm. Really a false alarm. The scene was almost out of control, and the audience was talking about it. Even people they don't know around can discuss Lin Fan's affairs. The judge said calmly. The three judges discussed it, not because of Lin Fan's ability or the score. From the beginning, we have determined that we want to score 100 points, but in this way, it will inevitably cause a lot of controversy. However, anyway, Lin Fan got full marks, well deserved. Even if his cooking is divided and scored, it is still a very powerful existence. 35. First of all, in terms of cooking skills, flame cooking, to be honest, this is the first time I have seen it in decades. This cooking technique is not only shocking, it not only brings visual enjoyment to people, but also the taste of the food is first class. This is the other contestants on the field. There is no way to compare. That's why we decided to give Lin Fan 100 points again, because he can afford it. The judges are getting more and more excited. The audience off the field also suddenly followed suit. And Kawashima Rei is closely following the emotions of the audience. He said excitedly, "This year's elite chef competition, the top 4 of Totsuki's student group have been selected. The number 1 ranking is still the unshakable Lin Fan. Second place is Nikiri Irina, who has the tongue of God and tastes the world's delicious food. 35. The third place is, among the students, Yukihira SMA, who is a dark horse after Lin Fan. And the last place is Kobayashi Rentain, who is about to graduate after this semester. The above is the list of the top 4. Congratulations to these 4 students. 35. Then in the next game, the 4 students will draw lots to decide who you will fight against. The 2 winners in the end are the Totsuki Elite Chef Competition, the first and second runner-up in the student group. 35. Only champions are qualified to compete with elite graduates for invitations. No matter what happens to 083, everyone, come on." Kawashima Rei spoke impassively. Next, the 4 students on the field in the draw box brought up by the staff want to draw the next opponent. Lin Fan didn't care, just took one and opened it. It turned out to be Yukihira SMA. When Yukihira SMA knew that his opponent was Lin Fan, he was a little surprised, but soon adjusted his mind. Looking at Lin Fan, he still looked confident and said with a smile, "Lin Fan, I didn't expect that we would be able to compete so quickly. I admit you are strong, but I am not weak. 99. I'll get my all, no matter how it ends. Of course, if I accidentally lose." Speaking of which, Yukihira SMA hesitated. After thinking for a while, he still said with a smile on his face, "I didn't think I would lose, so let's go." 35 Lin Fan also smiled calmly. "I look forward to your cooking skills, Yukihira-kun. Your ability is also very strong. 39, but Lin Fan thought about it and continued, "It doesn't matter if you fail, then watch my performance as a friend." Chapter 144, Silver Chopsticks and 10 Pots Returning. It's time to show real technology. Subscribe. After Yukihira SMA heard it, she still had an attitude of never giving up. At this time, Kawashima Rei came over. "Congratulations to the two of you for becoming each other's opponents. Then next, I will give the theme of this round." Speaking of which, Kawashima Rei opened her hand card with a look of surprise. The theme of the two is very interesting. I'll start over again. Both of them are elite students who have experienced the resort training camp, and they have also experienced the devil's 200 dishes per hour. So, today's theme is also closely related to this. 35, as we all know, the Totsuki Annual Carnival, the Moon Festival, will soon follow the Elite Chef competition. The Moon Festival is an annual event in Totsuki. Many tourists from all over the world will visit Totsuki on certain days. Students also prepare delicious food. Today's theme is to simulate a moon festival on the spot. See the seats in the front row? Saying that, Kawashima Rei pointed to the audience in the first row of the venue. Then he continued, "The audience in the first district are the tourists of today's moon festival. 35, then, let the two of you cook delicious dishes for them. The one who sells the most wins." The cooking time is 1 hour. After 1 hour, you can get extra points by making the most quantity. The theme here has been determined. I'm with another group to announce the theme, too. Let's start. After Kawashima Rei finished speaking, she walked over to Nakiri Irina's side. At this time, in the auditorium of the first district, the audience suddenly boiled. The benefits of the first row, you can actually taste it. It doesn't matter if you spend money. I am willing to spend money to taste it. 35. Yes, these dishes can't be bought with money, and now it's a welfare payment. Just sitting here and watching, only to hear from the judges that the food is particularly delicious. I can finally take a look at it. 95. I'm so excited. I really want to eat Lin Fan's food. But there are a lot of people in the first district, and the time is only 1 hour, which means first come, first served. I have to work hard. Friar in the venue. The audience behind the first district protested one after another. What's the matter? Why can only the audience in one district be able to taste it? Why can't it be treated equally? Don't you know the phrase, first come, first served? You didn't spend any money to see it. Who told you that you were unlucky and didn't grab the front row? At least treat them equally? Let the whole audience participate together. Let's just watch here. What's the matter? The whole audience? This classmate, you are really joking. The capacity of this hall is all involved. Do you want to fight? The audience in the first district and later became more and more excited. At this moment, Kawashima Rei smiled and said, "Everyone, I'm really sorry because the number of events in this game is limited. There is really no way to take care of everyone, but the dishes of the classmates here can be enjoyed by the audience in the second district." Kawashima Rei has always maintained an excited mood. Although the audience is still dissatisfied, the voice seems to be much smaller. "Come on, although I really want to eat Lin Fan's food, but this is Nakiri Irina, the food of the tongue of the gods. Not everyone can taste it." Yeah, here's Kobayashi Rentan and Nakiri Irina. They're amazing too. 99. It's a pity, but this is Irina's cooking. Audiences have been keen to discuss. On the field, the contestants on both sides were ready. They went back to the cooking table, still preparing the ingredients. Lin Fan walked to the ingredients area and looked at the dazzling array of ingredients. In a short period of time, in order to serve meals efficiently, cooking must be simplified. Like some complex dishes, even if they are made together, they could be a blockbuster. But that is too inefficient. After all, this round of competition is not only about the taste, how much is sold, but more importantly, the amount of meals. Lin Fan has enough confidence that as long as the dishes he cooks, they will definitely be swept away. The key is to be fast. Lin Fan also believes that Yukihira SMA's dishes will be sold out. At this time, it is to compare the number. At this time, Yukihira SMA also came to Lin Fan's side. Coincidentally, the eyes of the two of them fell on the same ingredient at the same time. flour. Seeing this, Kawashima Rei looked at the two of them and then said, grave accent, the two of you, are you thinking of going together? It looks like Lin Fan is going to make pasta again. Yukihira-kun, do you feel pressure? Yukihira SMA laughed, no, as long as I give my best. Saying that, he looked at Lin Fan. Lin Fan smiled, reached for a bag of flour, and returned to the cooking table. Yukihira SMA also followed one after the other and returned to his cooking area. Kawashima Rei stood beside Lin Fan and said curiously, Student Lin, as long as you see you holding flour now, everyone may have a shadow. Speaking of which, there was an uproar off the field. Everyone subconsciously looked at the mobile device in their hands. Kawashima Rei still smiled and said, so will there be such a shocking scene today? For example, Bai Luo's snake turns the chain. Lin Fan poured out the flour and then smiled. It's always the white snake that turns around, even if it's powerful good money. Won't you get tired? 9. I'm not the only one with great cooking skills. After hearing this, Kawashima Rei became even more curious and asked, is there any more powerful cooking skills? Is it more powerful than the Bai Luo snake's chain? 5. Lin Fan looked at it and smiled meaningfully. Then he silently walked to the kitchen area, made another familiar movement, and moved out of the small stove that he had used before. Kawashima Rei was surprised. Is it still flame cooking? If you have to bake a lot of them at one time, it's still very difficult, right? Lin Fan moved out the stoves one by one and smiled. Who said I'm going to cook with flame oxybustion? Isn't it necessary to be fast and efficient? They are enough. Tin Pot returned with silver chopsticks. Have you heard of it? Probably not. Chapter 145, Explosive Ramen. It's okay to make as many as you want. Subscribe. Kawashima Rei was dubious and asked, 10 pots of silver chopsticks returned? It's not fire cooking then. Listening to this name, wouldn't you want to control these 10 furnaces at the same time? 9. In this case, 10 furnaces are working at the same time, and one time is 10, right? If it's pastry, use one stove and one steamer so that you can get a lot of servings. 9. If 10 furnaces at the same time. Kawashima Rei looked surprised. Then he shook his head and said, impossible. Unless you have grown countless hands together. How can it be possible? 35. If you only control 2 or 3 pots at the same time, this should be no problem. 10 furnaces together. Extreme operation. Kawashima Rei's words successfully aroused everyone's curiosity. Sounds like it makes sense. Lin Fan silently placed the last stove, from the first, neatly arranged in a straight line. In this way, everyone has ruled out the possibility that he is still cooking flame dishes. At this time, 083 Lin Fan had time to speak. Looking at Kawashima Rei, he smiled and said, I don't do anything I'm not sure about, and it's easy to control 10 pots at the same time. Wow, the audience boiled over. Control 10 furnaces at the same time? Lin Fan hasn't said what he's going to do yet. No matter what he does, to control the pots on 10 stoves at the same time, unless he has 3 heads and 6 arms, how can he do it? If he can do this, that's amazing, isn't it? So let's wait and see. Yukihira SMA is also a noodle dish, so it's worth watching. I can only expect Lin Fan to compare to those elite graduates. No, it should be a cameo group like Dojima Jin. Huh. If Lin Fan can make it to the end, Dojima Jin, who is a tough character, is worth watching. The audience enjoyed the discussion. All attention was on Lin Fan. It was such a big battle after all. I saw Lin Fan pour the flour into the utensils. And this time, it did not use the Bai Luo snake chain, AAA, as before. A lot of low-key, standing silently in front of the cooking table, mixing flour and kneading them into dough. Kawashima Rei looked at Yukihira SMA on the side, and the movements were similar. Yukihira asked just now that the other party still wants to make handmade ramen. After all, delicious and efficient cooking and a wide variety of flavors, there's a lot of room to play. So, when she saw Lin Fan kneading the dough, Kawashima Rei also guessed that Lin Fan also made ramen. But the steps are low-key a lot. This also caused the audience to question whether Lin Fan has exhausted his talents. Want to preserve strength. However, Kawashima Rei still couldn't help but stepped forward and asked, "Student Lin, everyone says that you are preserving your strength. Is that true? Hope my questioning won't bother you." 35 Kawashima Rei said, showing a cute look. Like acting like a spoiled child, "I want Lin Fan to take care of her." Lin Fan is still kneading the dough in his hands, not disappointing Rei Kawashima. Seeing him smile, "There's no such thing as preserving strength. This is my normal performance, normal cooking. But there's indeed a little bit of concern, not about me, but about the audience off the court." Point 35. After all, such a building is a whole day, and it is screaming and crying, and the mood is fluctuating. 55. So I did this so that they could rest a little and not be so tired. 55. Because next, there is a moment when they are shocked. Restore your strength first, and then you will be in a hurry and shout it out. Kawashima Rei is used to Lin Fan's confidence. The audience off the field once again aroused their curiosity. With that said, people will not notice Yukihira SMA next to him, and all attention is on Lin Fan. Everyone wants to know, what shocking dishes will Lin Fan cook next? The media are more. Cheer up and always be ready. 20 minutes later, the eyes of the media were about to fall, and Lin Fan still had no ups and downs here, still rolling the noodles silently, and then dealing with some trivial things. More normal cooking process, not much difference. Everyone even thought that Yukihira SMA's cuisine was more interesting. After all, the aroma of the base soup began to slowly come out. At this time, Lin Fan was not in a hurry, placing his pots on the stove one by one. Kawashima Rei did not forget to remind, "Student Lin, 25 minutes have passed." Seeing that Lin Fan didn't respond, he turned to Yukihira SMA again. Bang, 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 boom. A loud noise did not attract everyone's attention, but startled everyone. The power of this loud noise is like an explosion. On one side of the stage, billowing white smoke instantly rose. Wow. Everyone panicked and started to get up. What's the situation? The direction of the smoke is from Lin Fan's side, so the explosion is in his cooking area. 35. Something happened? What did this do? Improper operation or what? Is there anything wrong with anyone? There was so much smoke that I couldn't see clearly, and the staff had already gone up. Will it catch fire? Do you want to leave? It's too dangerous. Hey, do you want to evacuate the crowd? It's very dangerous if there is a fire. So stop the game now. The audience shouted. However, at this moment, the staff who came forward upon hearing the news were surprised. No need to evacuate. It's totally fine. Wow, another uproar. The spectators who were about to evacuate stopped. The staff came out of the smoke and said in surprise, "Don't panic. It's Lin Fan who is cooking." Too shocking that ramen can still do this. The audience was amazed. What? Lin Fan is making ramen? Ramen will explode? What kind of dish is this? To make, this chapter contains pictures. Click the illustration button in the lower right corner of the screen to view the pictures. Chapter 146. The sales are explode? The audience off the field were in unison, surprised. Rei Kawashima on the field quickly trotted over. Just halfway through, bang, 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 another loud noise one after another frightened this lovely girl. Thick smoke engulfed her weak body. The audience screamed again. What's the situation? Why did it explode again? It's too dangerous. Go and see if his classmate has his hands. This is too dangerous. Everyone, hurry up and evacuate. Let's go, it's all exploded. And it's even said that it's cooking. It's outrageous. Several spectators took the lead, and the others behind followed to evacuate. At this time, Kawashima Rei was pleasantly surprised. Everyone, don't worry. Everyone is more worried. Lin Fan is cooking. Wow. Everyone turned their heads at the same time and looked at the field. Kawashima Rei came out of the thick smoke, so excited that she could not speak clearly. Try to be as calm as possible. Taking a deep breath, he said, "It's Lin Fan who is cooking. It's amazing." 35. Never seen such an amazing dish, explosive dish, to make after the voice fell. The smoke gradually dissipated, and Lin Fan's figure gradually appeared in the sight of the audience. 10 pots on the stove, still smoking. The smoke turned into the aroma of the ingredients. I saw Lin Fan holding a pair of long chopsticks in one hand. Judging from the texture of the chopsticks, it looks like silver, and it is a very long pair. Seeing his light steps, chopsticks stirred in each pot. From 1 to 10, no exaggeration, just the blink of an eye. Soon, I saw him pick up the noodles in the pot quickly. In the blink of an eye, rows of fried noodles were neatly placed on the cooking table. Wow, everyone was shocked by this scene. What happened just now? The food was cooked at the time of the explosion? What cooking technique is this? It's not dangerous. It's Lin Fan cooking. Oh my God, that's scary too. I understand now. What Lin Fan said just now will surprise the audience. That's what he said. Indeed, I was terrified. It's amazing. I really want to know right now what's going on. As the audience spoke, they returned to their seats one after another. Kawashima Rei hurriedly stepped forward and asked, "As soon as I speak, you must know what I want to ask. Can you tell everyone, why is this? It's amazing." There was chaos just now, and I thought something happened. Lin Fan is ready to repeat after placing the cooked noodles. At this time, I saw that he was holding the prepared noodles in his hand. Then he smiled and said, "As I said earlier, explosive cooking. 10 pots of silver chopsticks return. You can control 10 pots and 10 dishes at the same time. This blasting dish is a dish that is formed by placing the ingredients in the pot prepared by my site and blasting them through special processing methods. 5 noodles made in this form are not intended to attract attention. With the instant explosion of this casserole, the high temperature generated instantly achieves the effect of stir-frying. However, this effect is unmatched by other pots." Saying that, Kawashima Rei saw Lin Fan put a portion of the noodles into the pot. In the blink of an eye, from 1 to 10, the 10 pots had been completely placed. Shocked. Later, I saw Lin Fan changing the cover again. Then he laughed. "It's just a while. 35, are you ready?" The voice just fell. Boom, bang, 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 a loud explosion, a loud noise. And this time, the audience saw it clearly. Each pot was blasted one by one, and after the blasting pot, white smoke came out from the seam. Lin Fan is another agile. Light paced back and forth between 10 pots. Open the lid. Whoa, 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 a burst of strong aroma burst out in an instant. The pair of silver-long chopsticks poured out the fried noodles one by one. In just 2 minutes, 20 servings of fried noodles have been completed. Not only the audience was stunned, even Yukihira SMA, who was behind him, took the ingredients in his hands and was stunned, but didn't react for a long time. At this time, he was still processing the ingredients silently, preparing for a rush. In the blink of an eye, Lin Fan will be ready for 20 copies. As for Flower 00, even worse. There is still half an hour before the deadline. At this rate, 10 servings in 1 minute, 100 servings in 10 minutes, and half an hour. Yukihira SMA thought of this, took a deep breath, and looked at Lin Fan with a look of surprise. Although he was also in the freshman training camp, he had done such extreme operations. But to make him like Lin Fan is now, it would have to be a super extreme operation. Yukihira SMA felt a chill down her spine after thinking about it, and she couldn't think of anything else. Start burying your head down to speed. Lin Fan's side is not only cooking, but more like a wonderful performance. Let the audience make a good meal while complimenting. Next, something even more outrageous happened. Everyone thought that 10 dishes in 1 minute were already the limit of Lin Fan. I never thought that it was just Lin Fan's warm-up. Twice a minute, that's 20 servings. In the next, 30 seconds and 20 copies. The audience exclaimed, 40 servings in 1 minute is too exaggerated. It's already the limit, right? However, the audience's voice just fell. Lin Fan broke his record again. 1 pot was blasted in 10 seconds, and with the help of 10 pots of silver chopsticks, 10 pots were ready at the same time. 60 in 1 minute. Kawashima Rei stood aside and kept shaking his head. This is incredible. Such a speed too fast. I can make 60 servings of fried noodles in 1 minute. So it can be done in 29 minutes. 1,740. My God, this can make 1,800 dishes in half an hour. This is to reproduce the famous scene during the training camp. No. This time it's even more exaggerated. Kawashima Ray only cares about exaggerated explanations. The audience was also chatting. Yukihira SMA is already cooking at the maximum limit. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Facing an opponent like Lin Fan, he felt fear for the first time. Half an hour later, Kawashima Ray announced the deadline for the competition. The audience in the first area off the field consciously got up one after another and couldn't wait. As long as an order is given, they will rush directly to the stage like zombies. Yukihira SMA silently took off her waist and stepped forward. Point 0. Chapter 147. Sit firmly in the position of Brother Tsuki. Please subscribe. Kawashima Ray walked to the middle of the stage and said excitedly, "The game time for this round has ended." The staff counted the number of dishes that Lin Fan finally made. 1,900 copies. Wow, there was an uproar. Ray Kawashima continued in disbelief. It turned out to be 100 more copies than I expected just now. How on earth did Lin Fan do it? 99, it's incredible, really unimaginable in half an hour to make 1,900 dishes. What is this amazing speed? Even as Lin Fan said, the process of making fried noodles is simple. This is 1,900 copies, a full 1,900 copies. No more, no less. Kawashima Ray knew that at this moment. She couldn't believe her eyes. Since she hosted Lin Fan's food competition, she has experienced countless things that surprised her 083. But this time, it was the most incredible thing for her. This kind of hand speed is about to catch up with the machine work. At this time, Ray Kawashima was looking back at Yukihira SMA. He was sweating profusely, and it looked like he was trying his best. I saw him walking to the front of the cooking table. Kawashima Ray took the card in her hand, glanced at it, and continued. Yukihira-kun's data has also been counted. Speaking of which, Kawashima Ray looked slightly disappointed, but he quickly returned to normal and laughed. It's a pity Yukihira-kun made a total of 300 copies. This is another breakthrough by Yukihira-kun after the freshman training camp. It's amazing, but it's still a pity. Kawashima Ray didn't explain the words, just glanced at Lin Fan. The audience off the field, waiting impatiently, shouted one after another. Seeing this, Kawashima Ray smiled and said, "Then I announce that the tasting has officially started. Please don't crowd the audience. Orderly line up. Team." Before Kawashima Lee's words were finished, a group of people rushed to the stage. She was so frightened that she quickly found a place to hide, but it was still a step slower and was pushed by a group of people to the edge of the corner. And this group of people, with a clear purpose, came straight to Lin Fan. The scene is extremely exaggerated. There are also many people in front of the Yukihira SMA cooking table because they can't get it. Yukihira didn't care too much and smiled. "This is what I specially prepared for this show. Yukihira is a geek who is Dandaman. People are curious." Yukihira SMA continued. The timing of cooking was taken into consideration. Ramen is made with noodles, and in the noodles, some seasonings are added to make this dish plain, but not mediocre. Everyone nodded one after another. Hold up the dandan noodles made by Yukihira SMA. Unlike the previous Yukihira SMA dishes, this bowl of dandan noodles is made from chicken broth. 5. This soup smells like it doesn't add too many complicated ingredients. An audience member, looking carefully before eating, said. Yukihira smiled confidently. "Yes, 9. Use chicken samiyed, cooked from the start of the game, for an hour. There are no complicated seasonings added in the middle, which means returning to the basics. Paired with simple green vegetables, there is Yukihira geeky meat sauce on the surface. It tastes very good with the noodles made from the toppings." After Yukihira SMA finished speaking, the audience immediately picked up a large set of noodles and ate it in their mouths. Shocked. The full mouthful of chicken soup is the most authentic chicken soup flavor. 99. And this geeky meat sauce is the finishing touch, fragrant, tender, and delicious. The most important thing is that the noodle soup made from this noodle cake is super chewy. 39. It looks like an ordinary clear soup noodles, but it has a lot of content and is delicious. The crowd in front of Yukihira SMA's cooking table was full of praise. And this time, an exclamation caught everyone's attention. Lin Fan sighed. A group of people, after eating fried noodles, can't wait to fly in place. One by one, looking intoxicated. The fried noodles that burst out, the taste is really indescribably delicious. The noodles are extremely strong. In addition to the stir-frying, oh no, after the blasting, it is cooked immediately under high temperature. The texture is crisp, and the taste is very delicious because it is also added beef, seafood, hesitantly crisp, tender shrimp, delicious. It turns out that the taste of Lin Fan's food is so delicious. At this moment, I seem to be able to talk to these ingredients, and my head is full of seafood. The diners who ate the fried noodles stood aside and sighed with great enjoyment. If you don't have anything to eat, it's like a robbery, crowded with people. Some people even start to buy at a high price. I'll give me 3,000 yen. Can you sell me a bowl of the front? 3,000? Come here. You can eat this kind of high-end cuisine, but you only pay 3,000? I will pay 10,000. Who can help buy it in front? 35? 10,000 a dare to be so big? 100,000 a bowl. Can anyone help me buy it? The people behind who couldn't grab it, just like the scene of an auction, began to bid. At this time, the people in the front row also turned back and responded, "It's amazing to be rich. I'll try as much as I can. I don't care about your money. I don't sell it for a lot of money. I keep it for myself. With such cooking skills, I'm afraid I'll open a restaurant by myself in the future, so I can't grab it. Even if I can grab it, the price can still be the same as it is now. That's right. You have to taste this kind of food in your life. Don't sell it or sell it. Buy it and grab it yourself." The people behind immediately panicked. Only then did I realize that money is not everything. Kawashima Rei stood aside and said in surprise, "Lin Fan's cooking, even money can't buy it. It's hard to ask for 0.0 for a lot of money, and you can taste it yourself. How delicious is this? It's incredible." 5 minutes later, Lin Fan's cooking and Yukihira SMA's cooking were all swept away. At this speed, even the judges on the stage were shocked. In this scene, if it wasn't for their status, they would also want to go down and loot. On the other hand, the results of Nakiri Irina's group came out. The audience on the stage dispersed and returned to their seats to vote. Kawashima Rei came to the stage and announced the results. Cute dividing line chapter 148 at the last moment. Even a girl will not show mercy. Please subscribe. Next is the moment to publish the data. The audience couldn't hold back their excitement. Still talking about Lin Fan's fried noodles. Unfinished. Rei Kawashima walked to the middle and said excitedly, "On the cards in my hand, the final list of the Totsuki student group is recorded. But I don't need to say it. I'm afraid that one of them has been promoted. Everyone has already guessed it." Speaking of which, Kawashima Rei looked back at Lin Fan and said excitedly, "That's right, it's Lin Fan." The results of this game are completely determined by the audience voting, without the participation of the judges. Lin Fan finally won the first place with 1,900 copies of Boom Ramen sold and 1,900 positive reviews. Let's congratulate Lin Fan. Pat, pat, pat. The applause continued and the cheers continued. This dish of Lin Fan, both visually and in taste, gives people an unparalleled enjoyment. 08 won the sales champion, well-deserved. Next is the most tense moment. Of the remaining 3, Yukihira SMA, Nakiri Irina, and Kobayashi Renan, only the last place will qualify. Kawashima Rei held the card in her hand, glanced at it, and said in surprise, "Although I know that everyone can't wait to know the answer, but I still have to read it regularly." The results of Yukihira SMA finally made 300 copies, sold 300 copies, and also received 300 positive reviews. Nakiri Irina, finally. Kawashima Rei looked at it carefully and said with admiration, "It's amazing. I made 500 copies, and it also received 500 praise from the audience." Next, it was Kobayashi Genshin, who finally made 380 copies, and also received 380 praise from the audience. It's amazing. So, there is no doubt that the only qualifying spot in this game belongs to Nakiri Irina. Wow. There was another round of applause from the field. Nakiri Arena is still expressionless, from beginning to end. She is the cold and cold style of the queen, as if all this was for granted. If you don't get the promotion spot, then it's not the same. Kobayashi Jinshin has a good mentality. Holding the snacks, showing her little tiger teeth, she looked at Lin Fan and said with a smile, "Classmate, you are really amazing. 35? I am convinced even if I lose. After all, your strength is here. But me, after this time, I will go with C to wander and find the mystery of food. So, come on." Xiaolin Jinshin smiled, with a light-hearted look. Holding the snacks, while eating the snacks, I walked away silently. On the stage, Yukihira SMA froze in place. It never occurred to me that he would lose. It should be that since I met Lin Fan, I haven't won. As if Lin Fan is his nemesis. As long as there is this person, Yukihira SMA is doomed to lose. Hard to accept for a while. After all, at the entrance ceremony, Yukihira SM boasted about Haikao. Tsuki is just his stepping stone, and he will step on these stepping stones and climb to the highest point step by step. Now, however, it fell off halfway through the climb. It's hard to get him to accept it. Seeing this, Rei Kawashima reminded, "Mr. Yukihira, we're going to the finals next." 99 Yukihira SMA reacted immediately. I looked at Lin Fan and looked at the audience off the court. He likes to stand here and show his most powerful cooking skills to everyone. But now it's time to leave. Not dreaming. Taking a deep breath, Yukihira said to Lin Fan, "Come on, 35, then leave." Seeing this, Rei Kawashima continued to laugh. "Then the next game will continue. The game has reached this point, and it is already the most critical time. Lin Fan versus Nakiri Arena. One is Lin Fan, a freshman who has a superb cooking skill and has maintained a 100% win rate since he entered school. 35 on the one hand, there is Nakiri Arena, who has the tongue of God and tastes all the delicious food. The industry leaders will not hesitate to spend a lot of money to invite Nakiri Arena to try the dishes. 99. The duel between the two can be said to be extremely exciting. Who is going to win? Kawashima Rei said. Change your hand card and continued. It's the last game. I'm going to announce the next theme. 35. The theme of this final game is main course. Yes, you heard it right. It's the main course. No matter the style of cooking, there must be a main course. Then, too, this is the last dish of the last game. Who can conquer the judges on the jury? See you in an hour. After Kawashima Rei's voice fell, the timer on the field began to count down. Lin Fan had no idea, turned around, and walked towards the ingredients area. However, Nakiri Arena kept pace. When he was behind 083 Lin Fan, he suddenly called him back. Nakiri Arena also walked to the ingredients area, and the two stood side by side. I didn't expect that in the final two-choice knockout, I still met you. 35. No matter what the friendship between us is, I must win you. 55 Lin Fan turned to smile and said, "Then I'll tell you too. Even if we were friends, I would seriously beat you. After all, this is to respect the opponent." After speaking, Lin Fan took the ingredients and returned to the cooking area. Nakiri Arena was stunned for a moment, without expression, and silently selected the ingredients. When Kawashima Rei heard the news, she leaned over in gossip and asked Student Lin, "Did you have a conversation with Nakiri-san just now? What are you talking about?" Lin Fan did not speak. Seeing this, Rei Kawashima opened the topic wisely and said, "The Samoyed chicken is still alive." 35. Student Lin has to deal with fresh poultry on the spot again. This time, are there any novel kitchen utensils? Kawashima Rei asked curiously. Lin Fan silently walked to the kitchen cabinet and opened it. Chapter 149, Arhut Tiger Claw. Pull. I've never seen it. Subscribe. From the box, Lin Fan took out a finger cuff. To be precise, it should be a finger tiger that needs to be brought in with all 5 fingers in the animation. It is the hand of the machine. People are curious. Kawashima Rei replaced the audience and asked quickly, "What is the purpose of this finger set? Is it also a kitchen utensil?" When Lin Fan took out the fingertips, Nakiri Arena, who was beside him, couldn't help but stare out of the corner of his eye. Put the finger cot on your hand. Lin Fan tried to move 5 fingers. Only then did he smile. His name is Luohan Tiger Claw Pole. Kawashima Ray wondered, Arhut, Tiger Claw Pole? What is it for? After speaking, he subconsciously looked at the Samyed chicken. Kawashima Ray was surprised. Could it be? Use it for that live chicken. Lin Fan nodded and smiled. Yes, you guessed it. Just use it to deal with this chicken. 99 Kawashima Ray was startled and took a few steps back subconsciously. She has been presiding over Lin Fan's games, which has made her form a conditioned reflex. Last time, if it wasn't for her quick reaction, I'm afraid she would be caught by the flames of the grilled fish in the next second. At this time, Kawashima Ray thinks about it and still has lingering fears. Seeing this, Lin Fan grabbed the wings of the Samyed chicken and said with a smile, Don't worry, it won't spread to the surrounding area this time. Saying so, Kawashima Ray subconsciously let out a sigh of relief. Lin Fan grabbed the Samyed chicken wings and took them to the washing tank. Everyone, even Akiri Irina, couldn't help but put their ingredients on hold for a while, watching Lin Fan secretly. In the eyes of everyone, seeing Lin Fan pick up the Samyed chicken, everyone dared not blink and stared at the screen. Kawashima Ray also stood on the side, ready to report and comment in real time. Move 5 fingers again. Then, whoosh whoosh, the finger tiger swayed flexibly. It could be said to show its teeth and claws. High speed. Whoosh, another finger movement. The frightened Samyed chicken didn't have time to make a panic sound. It's already dying. Everyone on the field took a deep breath. The picture is very immersive, and it will make people unconscious, thinking that if this finger tiger is scratched on his neck, that level of sharpness, wouldn't it also kill you? The field is quiet. Quiet enough to hear breathing. Whizzing kakaka. Lin Fan's hand was so fast that a normal camera couldn't capture a normal picture. Can't see clearly, just see Samyed chicken feathers, as if they don't grow on the body. Lin Fan just touched it lightly with his hands, and he was able to pick it up in an instant. And this picture is only a short moment. Whole chicken Samyed handled clean. The cameraman hurriedly followed and shot the camera directly on the chicken. Smooth skin surface, not a single extra chicken feather is seen at all. Kawashima Ray exclaimed at this time. This is only a moment, and a whole chicken has been disposed of so quickly. As we all know, slaughtering a chicken is easy, but it is very technical to clean up the feathers of the whole chicken in a short time. But, did you see it? It's incredible that there's not a single one left, and it's handled cleanly. I'm exhausted when I say this now. I don't even know how many times this is the first time to say surprise. But it's amazing, especially when I see it from such a close distance. It's amazing. Kawashima raised time to speak. Lin Fan didn't just want to deal with this chicken. Then, another 2 were picked up, as well as a hybrid duck. No one is yet to respond. Kakaka, 3 down, and 5 out of 2. Only the feathers of chickens and ducks are seen flying in the sky. At this moment, Lin Fan used the finger tiger in his hand to quickly clean up the remaining 4 birds. There's a duck and 3 chickens here. At this time, the audience reacted and screamed, "This is too exciting." It's like practicing kung fu to clean up all 5 birds in such a short period of time. 35. It's incredible that Lin Fan has let us know time and time again that the last cooking skill wasn't the greatest. Indeed, it's like watching a wonderful movie and tasting the food in the movie. It's worth it. It's worth it. I can only say that if Lin Fan's master is alive, he is definitely the most powerful existence in the food industry. Really, you can tell by looking at Lin Fan's skills. Grave accent. If things go on like this, I'm afraid Lin Fan will get the invitation directly. There should be no suspense, but Guan Shuping and Dojima Jin in the back are not ordinary people. You must know that Dojima Jin back then, how many high-end restaurants wanted to invite him. And in the end, Tsuki gave him a share, which is why he kept it. It is very possible that Lin Fan is the highest existence among Tsuki's students. The crowd relished. Lin Fan has no emotional ups and downs at all about these compliments. Hear too much, nothing new. It's just a few words over and over. Continue to cook carefully. Cut the cleaned Samoyed chicken and hybrid duck into pieces in turn and add a small amount of seasoning to enhance the taste. The food is being processed quickly. At this point, put all the chicken and duck into a large casserole. In the next, money is good. It is rare to see Lin Fan so leisurely. After the chicken and duck were put into the pot, he stood aside and began to wait silently. Kawashima Rei asked curiously, "It only took 10 minutes. Has it been dealt with?" It's rare for Lin Fan to use such a simple cooking method, although the dishes in the past seem to be very simple. But every cooking skill cannot be imitated by a second person. Next, is it okay to wait? Lin Fan smiled and nodded. Yes, give it some time. 99. This dish will definitely give you a satisfactory answer. Rei Kawashima nodded and walked over to Nakiri Irina again. At this time, Nakiri Irina seemed to have a nodule around it, making it impossible for people to get close. Chapter 150, Glowing Cuisine, Samoyed Chicken Rice, subscribe. Rei Kawashima came over like Nakiri Irina. However, there was no sound. After all, this eldest lady, usually in Tsuki's style, made Kawashima Rei a little stressed. After thinking about it for a long time, I finally couldn't help but speak. Student Nakiri, the dish you made today seems to be a bit special in terms of cooking techniques. Because even standing here, I can smell new spice combinations. You use a lot of spices. After he finished speaking, his voice was like a stone sinking into the sea. Nakiri Irina didn't answer. Kawashima Rei was a little embarrassed. Afterwards, Nakiri Irina temporarily processed the ingredients on hand. He raised his head and calmly replied, "Indeed, the dish I'm making today will be very different from the past because..." Having said that, Nakiri Irina paused. Kawashima Rei was puzzled and kept silent, waiting for Irina to answer. Nakiri Irina thought for a while and said calmly, "Because of some reasons. In certain ingredients, I found inspiration, so I moved to this dish today. These spices will be a 083 new and perfect match." 35 Kawashima Rei nodded vigorously, but didn't realize Nakiri Irina glanced at Lin Fan when she said this. Want to see his reaction. Of course, Lin Fan knew that this Tsundera's eldest lady was peeking at herself at the moment. He also knew that Irina's inspirational ingredient pairings came from his spice inequalities, because Lin Fan smelled it. The spice pairing that Nakiri Irina said uses peppercorns. But how could the princess of Tsundera admit that she was inspired by Lin Fan in public and in front of everyone? Even if everyone guessed it, Irina would not admit it. Rei Kawashima is very interesting. It was an exception for Nakiri Irina to say so much to her. Therefore, she nodded hurriedly, not daring to interrupt. Time just passed by minute. Lin Fan has always been a priority and even moved a small bench, sat by the fire, and started brushing his phone. In this state, people really have to start discussing him again. You said, how long does it take for ordinary people to practice with such a calm and sophisticated mentality as Lin Fan? How long to practice? It is estimated that some people can achieve it in a lifetime. Not to mention, he has already understood the ultimate meaning of fish cooking before. Yes, if you can taste that sashimi, you will have no regrets in your life. Such ice knives are not like ordinary knives. The selection of materials is so strict, it is impossible to make them casually. Just think about it. Did you smell it? The fresh aroma of the chicken came out together. Yes, and it's very strong. It's not just chicken alone, but also the taste of duck meat. Lin Fan must have used a special technique to combine the two perfectly. Otherwise, it would be impossible to have such a pleasant aroma. I look forward to it. I want to try it again. As the scent became stronger and stronger, the audience's comments became stronger and stronger. Time is passing minute by minute. In the eyes of the audience, Lin Fan's dish seems to have been finalized, because on his cooking table, around the chopping board, there are no ingredients placed. There are also no cleaning ingredients to use. Just wait for the time to come. The cooking is done. On Nakiri Irina's side, the pan-roasted duck meat is gradually exuding its aroma. And in this strong fragrance, not only the fragrance of butter, but also the more recognizable blindness. Sichuan peppercorn. The taste is fresh but not elegant, and it is paired with the rich fried duck meat, which makes the people off the field unable to stop. There is no scene that made the audience's emotions go up and down like before. Everything is so bland. Time passes quietly in this harmonious picture. Half an hour later, AAA, with Rei Kawashima's excited reminder, the time for this game has ended. Lin Fan also just took out the chicken from a pot. The moment the casserole was opened, people were fully prepared. According to a previous experience, when a lid is lifted like this, the dish will shine. However, when Lin Fan lifted the lid of the pot, the so-called higher expectations, the greater the disappointment. Not as the audience expected. After the cover was opened, a strong golden light burst out. Even the scent is about the same as the current intensity. Wow, there was an uproar. Even if there is no amazing cuisine, it can't resist the discussion of the audience off the field. What's the matter? It's not the same as before. There's no strong light. So this dish is, from the beginning to the end, Lin Fan's cooking was very low-key. I have a bold idea. Shouldn't this be a game? For Nikiri Arena? I'm afraid to think about it. It's not like this. Then do you have a better explanation? Unless Lin Fan Jianglang is exhausted, or in other words, he is shocked by the pressure of Nikiri Arena. Obviously, the second choice is nonsense. That's because Lin Fan is already weak and can't cook amazing food anymore. Indeed, this chicken is indeed very ordinary. It should be said that it is very ordinary. I used 3 chickens and a duck as a foil to set off the taste of this chicken. Nothing too special. Looks like this one, Nikiri Arena, is going to end Lin Fan's godlike performance. The people off the field were talking. But Nikiri Arena knew very well that it was not that simple. Even in her eyes, Lin Fan's dish was really ordinary. But she contacted Lin Fan. There must be some other reason. After all, before the start, Lin Fan also told her to go all out. This is the way to respect the opponent. If not, then this game is really a sub-question, and I can only blame Lin Fan for being careless. Then, the two took the dishes and walked silently to the jury table. After the previous big scene, the judges who finally returned to normal tasting looked at the food in front of them with surprise. Lin Fan brought it up with a whole chicken in a big bowl with thick soup. Nikiri Arena's is a salt and pepper crispy duck with special seasonings that are fried and grilled with duck meat. At this moment, Lin Fan had a knife in his hand. Stepping up to the jury table, he smiled and said, "My dish, called Satsuma chicken rice, is eaten like this." I saw Lin Fan, with a dining knife, gently slicing from the chicken breast. At the moment of opening, lovely dividing line, chapter 151, Nikiri Thistle, suddenly appeared. Frightened Arena, please subscribe. Lin Fan calmly held the knife and stroked down the chicken breast gently. Kakaka! In an instant, in that familiar scene, golden light burst out from the gap. The audience didn't think too much about it, subconsciously applauding and starting to cheer. Light, it's light. As expected, it will shine. So let me just say, Lin Fan's cooking probably doesn't shine. 99, I didn't expect it wrong. Such a dish will definitely shine. It came out of the belly of the chicken. Have you noticed that the aroma is stronger, so fragrant? It's such a dazzling golden light, but it's a familiar taste, which makes my blood boil. Lin Fan is still the same Lin Fan. It hasn't changed. The audience was in high spirits. Nikiri Arena was even more shocked. Then she looked calm again, which was not what she expected. If Lin Fan just cooks an ordinary dish, that's not normal. But still surprised Nikiri Arena. Because, after the golden light, the chicken belly is full of rice, filled with chicken belly and seasoned with a little ginger. No other ingredients and seasonings. This strong fragrance is just the delicious fragrance that the rice grains are braised in the chicken's body. The rice soaked in chicken oil is golden and crystal clear, making it very appetizing. Lin Fan scooped the rice out of the chicken. The fresh scent made the judges unable to stop. The golden and translucent chicken soup is paired with rice, and the soup rice is scooped out into a bowl. Then, from this big bowl, scoop out the chopped samyed chicken, which is crossed with suki duck. In this post-autumn world, it is a pleasure to serve such a steaming bowl of soup and rice. Lin Fan placed the soup and rice in order in front of the judges. The three judges couldn't wait and quickly picked up their bowls. Gently stir with a spoon. Whoa, whoa, the hot and fresh aroma is tingling in the nostrils. I couldn't wait. I just blew a sigh of relief and ate it quickly. Although it is hot, but this season, such soup and rice should be eaten while it is hot, a judge said and hurriedly ate. Wow. The first reaction after the entrance, there is no suspense, is to be amazed by this chicken soup rice. At this time, the two judges on the side reacted the same way. It was too late to comment, so I quickly ate it one by one. The audience felt anxious for a while. I know it's delicious, but I can see that I can't eat it, so I want the judges to make a quick evaluation. Countless pairs of eyes looked at it like that. Watching the judges helplessly, they ate the whole bowl of soup and rice, leaving not a grain of rice left. At this time, still unsatisfied, looking at the rest of the soup and rice. Kind of like a fight. However, at this time, the audience off the field couldn't wait and began to get restless. Isn't the judge's duty to make a quick evaluation after tasting the food? What is the situation? Come on, tell me what it tastes like. I'm really worried. Simmering one chicken with 3 chickens and 1 duck is really delicious. Say it now. The audience expressed their dissatisfaction. Kawashima Rei, the host of the scene, smiled and said, 3 seniors. The audience is waiting for the 3 reviews. Looks like it tastes amazing. As soon as the words fell, the judges immediately became excited. Delicious. In this rice, there's not only the taste of chicken, but also the unique fragrance of Totsuki hybrid duck. 35, a judge said. Then, he was snatched by the next judge and said, not only that, the rice itself has no taste, but there is chicken for the rice. It was marinated with special spices and put into a soup pot. As the temperature slowly rises over time, the spice from the outside seeps into the chicken, allowing the rice to soak, absorb the aroma, and cook. Rice cooked like this is delicious on its own, but having said that, another judge took over and said, but the point is the soup on the outside. The whole chicken has its own aroma, and then it blends with the diced chicken and duck again. Lin Fan consumed this chicken, but made the chicken and duck in the soup pot delicious. It's so delicious. As long as you take a bite, you will never forget this taste year after year. And being able to make this dish in a short period of time is very powerful in itself. Plus, it can be so delicious. After speaking, the 3 judges raise the soup bowls again, divide the remaining soup and rice, as well as the diced chicken and duck meat in the casserole, all clean. Hiccup. The judge, who was full of food and drink, couldn't help but hiccup. You know, Nakiri Irina's dishes have not been tasted yet, and the judges are in this state. After a few more minutes, the judges looked at Nakiri Irina's cuisine. One judge recognized, as expected of the tongue of God, the first impression of any dish is the senses. Duck with salt and pepper, served with special sauce, then mashed potatoes. While talking, the judge nodded and began to taste. After the entrance, the crispy shell of the salt and pepper duck immediately amazed the judges. Then, the inside of the tender duck meat is filled with the rich aroma of butter. The judge was pleasantly surprised. It's pepper. Nakiri is in the salt and pepper. And also in the pepper, it tastes really good with mashed potatoes and a special sauce. The sauce is sweet and sour, very appetizing. 39. I love this salt and pepper roast duck. Nakiri Irina stood by and listened silently, without saying much. With a face of tsundere, she seemed to feel that she was bound to win. After all, even though Lin Fan's rice soup is very tasty, her main dish is perfect. Whether it's the combination of ingredients, seasonings, and spices, it's all perfect. At this time, seeing this, Rei Kawashima hurriedly said, next, it's an exciting time. Lin Fan versus Nakiri Irina. Glowing chicken rice versus salt and pepper roast duck. Which one is more in line with the judge's taste? At this point, the judges didn't seem to even have time to think about it. The 3 of them immediately said in unison, Samote chicken soup rice, asked for flowers 0, 0 Nakiri, Irina shocked. The audience was in an uproar. Nakiri Irina said in disbelief, How? How could it be? I chose chicken soup rice without any hesitation. Why? Obviously, my roast duck with salt and pepper is a perfect match. Why? 39 Nakiri, Irina questioned. Lin Fan smiled and said nothing. The judge replied, Yes, Nakiri, your dish is perfect. 99 for material selection, production, and collocation. There is no single mistake. Nakiri Irina interrupted. How could that be? Could it be because Lin Fan has been winning until now, talking about previous results? This is a bit outrageous. Otherwise, I really can't think of any reason to directly deny my cooking without any hesitation. The judge replied calmly, Because, did you think about the season when you were making this dish? Or the current environmental factors? Nakiri Irina suddenly realized. The judge continued, It's the beginning of autumn, the weather is getting cooler, and there is no heating in the venue. Because of the current weather, it's not enough to heat the venue, but this dish of yours, even if the temperature has only changed a little from the time it came out of the pot, the taste is two different things. You should be very clear. This kind of food, from the time it is made to the time it is brought to the table, the taste has changed. Of course, it can also be said that it is because we tasted Lin Fan's cuisine first that your cuisine became like this. 99, but otherwise. If we taste your dishes first, then Lin Fan's last, his chicken soup with rice, will not change. The casserole itself is constant temperature, and it is the current season. Lin Fan's dish is really suitable. While there was an uproar, pat, 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 there was thunderous applause from the field. Kawashi Murray's voice was trembling, and she said, The champion of the school student group has emerged. It's Lin Fan. Lin Fan is the champion. Oh my God, I'm really surprised and reasonable. This moment, all the glory belongs to Lin Fan alone. Bang, 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 on the stage. The sky is full of ribbons. Applause, cheers. At this moment, Lin Fan is the only focus, enjoying infinite glory. And Nakiri Irina, taking a deep breath, walked away silently. In cheers, the media crowded around to take pictures and visit. But Lin Fan saw Nakiri Irina's back in the corner of his eye and followed after a few perfunctory words. Outside the venue, when Lin Fan strode to keep up, he saw Nakiri Irina's back. I saw her standing there, facing a man. The man seemed to be talking to her, seeing Nakiri Irina shaking her head all the time. When Lin Fan walked in, he found that Nakiri Irina was terrified. After the man saw Lin Fan, he smiled and said, You are Lin Fan? First time meeting, I'm Nakiri Thistle. Chapter 152 Lin Fan Surprise for Irina. The illustration should be the author's sister. Lin Fan doesn't know this person. Black hair, with a pinch of silver in the middle, looked at Lin Fan coldly and arrogantly. From Nakiri Irina's attitude, again the surname Nakiri, I didn't wait for Lin Fan to speak. Nakiri G thought for a while and replied, It's normal that you don't know me. After all, Tsuki has long since lost trace of me. If I were to change my identity, it's Irina's biological father. Having said that, Lin Fan understands. However, Nakiri Irina did look horrified. It's hard to imagine what this person, the former princess of Tsundere, went through to make her look like this. Then, Nakiri G looked at Irina calmly and said, The Lin Fan thing has spread throughout the food circle. But what I didn't expect was that you would lose to him. 35 and accepting some cooking techniques, I think, is very surprising. 35. Have you forgotten what I taught you since childhood? Civilian cuisine shouldn't be on the table. However, not only did you make it appear, but you also made it sound like this, trying to use it. Nakiri Irina suddenly hugged her head. Her emotional 083 emotions seemed to collapse, and she kept shaking her head. No, not like that. Nakiri Irina kept talking. After a while, she turned around and ran away. Lin Fan wanted to go after him. Nakiri Thistle stopped Lin Fan. Young man, you're a great cook, but you can't try to destroy what I teach Irina. Also, I want to say that with your current strength, maybe we can work together, Nakiri Thistle said, smiling meaningfully. Lin Fan knew almost nothing about the person in front of him. Suddenly, such a person appeared in front of him, and then said that he wanted to cooperate with him. In this situation, if he could agree, it was not because his brain was crowded by the door, but there should be a problem with his brain. Lin Fan has no interest in what Nakiri Thistle wants to work with. After all, this person, from the moment he appeared to the present, gave the impression that he was not a good person. So Lin Fan laughed. Sorry, I have no interest in what you said. 99, not to mention collaboration. So, I don't think we're the same people. We can't talk, and we don't have to say goodbye. Let's see each other again. 9 after speaking, Lin Fan turned around. Nakiri G smiled and felt that the young man in front of him really had the same personality as the rumored one. But soon he was less surprised. After all, powerful people have always had a bit of temper. So, Azumi Nakiri turned around and laughed. Don't you want to cover the sky with your hands? This place, Suki, with your current abilities, is the elite 10 chief enough? 5, don't you want to do more? Nakiri Thistle asks questions. Lin Fan thought for a while, then nodded and said, Chief Elite 10? This is only temporary. Nakiri G replied, That's it. If you join forces with me, it will definitely change Suki upside down. We'll change the whole food world too. Lin Fan looked at him, and only then did he understand the purpose of the man in front of him. So it doesn't matter, and replied, I will implement everything you said. But it's just me. For me, you are useless, more like a burden. 99, instead, you want to use me as a stepping stone and step on me. I'm afraid this will never happen. 35, I hope we never see you again. After speaking, Lin Fan turned around and left. Nakiri G was stunned, watching Lin Fan's disappearing back. After a brief exchange, the young man in front of him was the most unique of all the chefs he had come into contact with. It should be said that the food industry is by far the most unique existence. Such people have to win over and become their own people. Otherwise, if you stand on the opposite side, it will be a lot of trouble in the future. But at this time, Nakiri G was puzzled. He didn't know what Lin Fan wanted. Because of this, it is not easy to negotiate conditions. Can only temporarily give up, go. Lin Fan found Nakiri Arena on the way back to Polar Star Dorm. The little secretary, Hisako, was not with him, and there was no servant. Alone, standing in the corner, not knowing what to do. When I got closer, I found out that I kept talking about it in my mouth, and I was in a bad mood. It seems that he has not yet come out of the emotions just now. Lin Fan walked over. It's so late. Where's your driver? Why isn't Hisako with you? Lin Fan's words suddenly surprised Nakiri Irina. Seeing her turn around suddenly, and seeing that it was Lin Fan, he was relieved. Quickly organize her emotions, and don't want her vulnerable side to be shown. He regained his composure and said, No, it's nothing. It's just that it's dark. The road here is a little unfamiliar, and I'm lost. A very bad excuse. But Lin Fan didn't mean to dismantle it either. After thinking about it, he said, It's because I lost the chef competition. Nakiri Irina's face suddenly became emotional, but then she returned to calm and did not speak. It took a moment to squeeze out a sentence. I have sent a message to the driver, waiting for him here. Lin Fan shrugged. This eldest lady is really duplicitous. When you are sad, and you have to pretend that nothing happened. Lin Fan stepped forward. Nakiri Irina was startled and took a few steps back subconsciously. Nakiri Irina didn't finish her sentence. Lin Fan took out a card from his backpack and handed it to her. Here, take it. Nakiri Irina froze and took the card slowly. Then the light of the street lamp has not been turned on, and I see the logo on the new seal. She understood it subconsciously and said with a look of surprise, Invitation letter for the blue competition? Where did you get it, don't you? Speaking of which, Nakiri Irina looked suddenly enlightened. Then he said in disbelief, Just now. It's impossible. You went to her place. No wonder there are rumors that after eating your cooking, she is only willing to eat your cooking. You shouldn't be doing this just for this. Nakiri Irina looked surprised again. Could it be for? You can do it in the morning. At the end of this final, whether it's you or me, one person will be eliminated in the end. So you want to find her? Nakiri Irina said this, feeling a little uncomfortable. After opening the envelope, a brand new invitation to the blue competition appeared so bright even under the nightlight. Nakiri Arena couldn't control her emotions any longer. From childhood to adulthood, the admiration she received were all based on the benefits that she could bring to those people. If she didn't have the tongue of God, how many people would be really kind to her? Lin Fan can actually do this. Nakiri Arena could no longer control her emotions and choked up. It's clear that Tsuki's cruel elimination system. Why have you become so humane here? Obviously, I've been eliminated, but you helped me figure out in advance. That's why in the game, you swore to say it like that, because you have already... How can you do this? What are your conditions? Want me to comment on your cooking, or what? After all, such a gift will not be given for no reason. Nakiri Arena, in his heart, is doing one last offense. After hearing this, Lin Fan disapproved and said, "Don't you think that I gave you this invitation letter in exchange for the reputation of your cooking for me? And then, like everyone else, relying on your evaluation, became popular in the food circle. To be frank, I can do these things by myself. It's just a matter of time. 55, I got this invitation for you because you said that day that this competition is very important to you. It seems you want to prove something to your family. But a game is a game. You can't beat me. You also helped me when I first entered school. So this is also a reward for 0.0 of my friends. You want to prove yourself on the blue, and I want to achieve my purpose. These are two things, not in conflict. So anyway, take it. See you on the blue. Although I don't think you can beat me. You can prove what you want to prove. That's it." After speaking, Lin Fan turned around and prepared to leave. Nakiri Arena stood behind him, stunned. It took a long time to react and saw that Lin Fan was about to disappear. She had a backlog of words in her heart for a long time, and suddenly she pointed at Lin Fan's back and said it. "Thanks." The voice was so small, Irina thought that only she could hear it. But unfortunately, Lin Fan heard it again. Cute dividing line. Chapter 153, Tsuki's new mentor Suzuki, subscription. Lin Fan was a blockbuster at the Elite Chef competition. Successfully won the championship in the Tsuki student group. And the next time, Lin Fan will fight against elite graduates. But the time has also been delayed as the games in other divisions are still in progress. Lin Fan has unfinished business every day. Food Weekly, Global Food Weekly, WGO Food Weekly. First-tier magazines like this are scrambling to give Lin Fan an exclusive interview. However, Lin Fan shut them all out. Where did these times come from? It's not. Dong, 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 someone knocked on the door outside. "Come in." Lin Fan is sitting in Tsuki's office, looking through the materials of the Moon Festival. In half a month, Tsuki's annual carnival, the Moon Festival, will be held as scheduled. Tadakuro Megumi came in, glanced at Lin Fan, and frowned slightly. "Student Lin, I haven't eaten well for several days. 5, although work must be completed every day, but also eat on time." 08-inch 9, saying that. Tadakuro Megumi put the bento box on the desk. Lin Fan nodded and continued to look at the information in his hand. Regarding the regional distribution of the booths of the Moon Festival, Tadakuro Megumi stood in front of him, thought about it, and continued that. "The reporter from the WGO Food Weekly outside has been here since the morning, saying that he had told you before that he wanted to do an exclusive interview this week." 99 Lin Fan put down the document in his hand and looked at Tadakuro Megumi. It can be seen that Tadakuro Megumi is very concerned about Lin Fan. Even though he is now the 10th seat of Elite 10, he is still the secretary of Lin Fan's Chinese cuisine researcher. Lin Fan's daily trivial matters were handled properly by her. Sometimes Lin Fan also thinks if there is no Tadakuro Megumi, there will be a lot more things. Therefore, what she said just now was somewhat disappointing to her kindness. Lin Fan smiled. "Thank you, shall we? I'll eat your bento in a while. By the way, on the question of exclusive interviews, go and reject them. You have never promised to interview. These reporters are really good at acting." When Tadakuro Megumi heard that Lin Fan would eat on time, he hurriedly nodded with a smile. Then, when he turned to leave, he turned around and said, "By the way, there is something else. You've been busy lately, but you should have heard of it. Suki recently came to a lecturer for a student practice class named Suzuki. This lecturer is very young, and he got the title of mentor in a special way. After Lin Fan heard this, the picture in his head began to flicker quickly. Suzuki? Suzuki. After a while, Lin Fan remembered that there was such a person. When the council made a decision, Lin Fan glanced at the person's profile, and he was indeed very young. And when Suki arrives, he is aggressive. The halberd defeated a lot of people and also made a lot of nonsense. The reputation among Suki students is not very good. Lin Fan was going to meet him, but Lin Fan was really busy at that time. He had to participate in the chef competition and was also busy with the Moon Festival. So this person, forget about it. If Tadakoro Megumi hadn't mentioned it today, I'd probably have forgotten that there is such a person. It's really unremarkable. So Lin Fan asked, I remembered that Suzuki, the instructor of the cooking contact class. 35, it's arrogant, and there are rumors among the students that it is the second me, right? Tadakoro Megumi was stunned, not expecting that Lin Fan would even know this kind of gossip. Lin Fan said with a smile, this kind of gossip is spread all over the school, and you can hear it if you look closely. 99. However, shall we suddenly mention him? Is it because of something? As a tutor, shouldn't he compete with the students for resources? 5. Tadakoro Megumi shook his head and said, that won't happen. It's just this Suzuki sensei. I always feel weird, and he always mentions you intentionally or unintentionally in class. And the way of commenting is also a bit extreme. There are even rumors from students that he is coming for you. Having said that, Tadakagumi said with a worried look, no matter what, you should be careful. Lin Fan said with a smile, I know, but it just so happened that you mentioned it today, but I want to go and see it. 95. The most controversial teacher among the students, who is the Holy Grail. There happens to be his class in the afternoon, so I'll go to it. 95. Tadakoro Megumi nodded. Afternoon Lin Fan doesn't come back for such student cooking classes. However, today he wants to meet this special mentor. Presumably, this special mentor is also looking forward to meeting him. Discuss cooking in person. When walking in the classroom corridor, the students saw Lin Fan as if they saw a rare guest. There was an uproar. Quickly cast an envious look. It was only a semester later, and Lin Fan was already a world away from them. More importantly, Lin Fan is not the transfer student they say, commoner. Amid the envy of everyone, Lin Fan walked into the classroom. 100, come here, it's amazing. Lin Fan actually came to class. It's still this kind of practice class. 39, Suzuki Sensei said, I would like to meet Lin Fan and have a chance to discuss in person. I feel that this time is not a good person. Who said it wasn't? A group of students were discussing. Lin Fan calmly walked into the classroom. At this time, Suzuki was standing in front of the podium, wearing a peak cap and a mask around his neck. Suzuki was a little surprised when Lin Fan came in. Soon, he stood up and looked at Lin Fan quickly. Then he smiled and said, it's rare. The chief officer of Tsuki came to my instruction class. After seeing Lin Fan, he also smiled. It's not a while ago. I always hear from the students, and Mr. Suzuki always mentions me. 5, and questioning some of my cooking skills. It happened to be not busy in the afternoon, so I came to have a look. I heard that when the teacher joined Tsuki, he used a very powerful method. After hearing this, Suzuki said with a half smile, it's all right, don't just stand there. After speaking, he looked around and said, since everyone has arrived, let's start the class. Chapter 154, the purpose is very clear. Come to Lin Fan. Please subscribe. After Suzuki finished speaking, he motioned for the students to return to their cooking table. Let them stop talking. The atmosphere in the classroom is very strange, although no one has explained what connection Lin Fan has with this Suzuki. The two only met for the first time, but it will make people feel that the trick between the master and the master. The atmosphere is very unusual. The students whispered in private. Have you noticed the atmosphere is not right? Did Lin Fan and this teacher, Suzuki, know each other before? 35. Yeah, even though the two of them didn't have much interaction before this. Why do they feel full of gunpowder? Yeah, especially what Suzuki Sensei said just now. It's obviously fighting each other. The teacher's age is not too old. As soon as I come to Tsuki, I can abuse all those teachers again. And I really have a hand. 35. Isn't it still rumored recently Suzuki-sensei's attributes are very similar to Lin Fan? Maybe. The more the students spoke, the more outrageous they became, the louder they became. Unscrupulous. Cough, cough. Finally, Suzuki coughed twice. Students, don't believe such rumors easily, and don't spread them everywhere. If there's really something that is confusing in cooking, or something needs to be discussed, I believe Lin Fan will find me personally, right? Suzuki smiled meaningfully and looked at Lin Fan. If this is said alone, it may not feel very good. But from Suzuki's mouth, in his tone, he added that disdainful expression. This seems a little out of place and full of provocation. Wow. In the classroom, the atmosphere suddenly felt even worse. It even smells like gunpowder. This made some students more certain that Suzuki's visit to Tsuki Vocational Education this time may be aimed at Lin Fan. After all, a powerful chef like him is not a graduate of Tsuki, and Mimbryu has no ties. How could he come here and be a practice teacher in obscurity? So, the students all turned their attention to Lin Fan. He took a deep breath, wanting to see how Lin Fan reacted. Of course, Lin Fan was too surprised by such a thing. Obviously, this is to find fault. No, in Lin Fan's eyes, Suzuki is here to die. Therefore, Lin Fan also smiled meaningfully. Yes, 35, if there's any doubt, I will definitely go to the teacher to consult. 35, the ending of the word ask for advice, was deliberately stretched very long. Because, Lin Fan continued, I'm definitely not like some people who don't have self-awareness. Knowing that the teacher is very powerful, they still deliberately die. Right? Suzuki, teacher. Wow, the students whispered again. The atmosphere in the classroom directly dropped to freezing point. Suzuki smiled and said, Indeed, with a skill like Lin Fan, I am afraid that those who dare to challenge like you are not ordinary people. Okay, let's have a practice class today, because Lin Fan is coming to my class for the first time, so I'm here to talk about it. My practice sessions are simple. Imitate, learn. Before he finished speaking, Lin Fan interrupted Suzuki and said, Imitate. Every chef's style is different, so why learn such a nutritious imitation in such a valuable practice class? Even if there's a big gap in the cooking skills of the classmates, it cannot be imitated blindly. 39, because every chef is different, they understand it differently. After listening to Suzuki, he shook his head and smiled. Lin can say such a thing, I don't feel surprised. After all, your talent, in the current Tsuki, how many people can learn it? So, you who are born superior don't have to think about what I said just now, right? 39, having said that, Suzuki looked at the students in the classroom and continued. The current food industry, like other circles, the strong should have the final say. The strong is the truth that comes out of a pile of skeletons. 5. The truth should coexist with the truth and even form a powerful authority. In this way, we can develop better dishes, and those other people, those who are not talented, just need to follow the steps. Isn't that bad? 35. This is the fundamental way to put an end to some meaningless food exploration. To make Lin Fan continue to retort, in the food industry, there are different chefs who use their talents to diversify their cuisine. 99, if you're like you step by step, then 66, chefs will be like machines, and the food they make cannot have a soul. I'm talking about what you call copying imitation. Tsuki also has a student like this from now on. But it turns out that imitation is also flawed, and he can't copy everything exactly.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.